The path forward for Sony is becoming ever more clear as another upstart developer joins the PlayStation family. Let's talk about it. Good morning, evening, or afternoon. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the XP Pad Podcast, episode 47 for the third week of April 2023. I'm your host, Mike Z, and joining me, as always, forever and ever to the end of time, or at least until one of us die, the Birdman himself, Logan P.
What is up, everybody? Exciting week. Hopefully I'm sounding better today, because not only after my PC, which hopefully made me sound a little bit better, now I have a little new upgrades for my PC that I'll begin to very soon about. But yeah, as you can see, boom, there you go. Zoom in real quick to see show everybody's watching. But yeah, no, exciting week. Well, not work week wise, not exciting. It's been very, very slow this week, so it's been a very, very boring week. I guess a life news real quick, a little positive news. So about like close to a year ago, and it's funny because the day that I learned about this news, I was going down to Mike's. I figured out that I had a blood clot in my left knee, which really, really sucks, by the way. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, like how old are you? I'm fucking 25 and I had a blood clot. Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Whoa,
But
that's back-to-back F words, and we're only 2 minutes in.
sorry guys.
YouTube's gonna be
Sorry.
angry. I
I
don't
know.
Well, I don't
Sorry.
care. I don't think YouTube cares either.
But yeah, so that really sucked a lot. Wasn't great news. Not very happy about it. And so recently I went to go get another ultrasound on my leg, and it's negative. So looks like I don't have a blood clot in my knee anymore. So
That's good.
hip hip hooray to that. Another $900 down the drain, but you know, yay, I figured it out. That's good, I guess. But yeah, that's the big positive news for me this week is just that. Other than that, it's been a boring week. So what about you, Mike? How was your week?
Hey, well, at least the ultrasound was only on your knee. I don't know if I ever
Yeah.
told you or not. When my first school, when I was still playing ball and all that,
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure of getting an ultrasound on my balls.
What?
Yeah, I had this.
What?
I had this collection of benign cyst on. I think they called it the right tube or something. The tubular was the full name or something. Because I noticed, I was like, there's some bumps down there. So I went to the doctor to check it out. So yeah, I had to sit through a 45-minute ultrasound while this nurse is just going back and forth on my man stuff while I'm holding the equipment up, just laying there. Oh, well, this podcast has started off just
Yeah, no, right? Perfect.
right in it. But yeah, no, and then the doctor slow rolled me. He freaking Rick rolled me, dude. He walked in, he was like, yeah, so we found a collection of cysts down there. And I'm like, okay. He's like, oh,
All right.
they're benign. It's no big deal. We're just gonna give you. I'm like, next time lead with that. For a
Yeah.
second, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to have one of my testicles removed, and I'm not happy about it. All right.
Dude, I'm telling you, doctors and bosses both have that same problem, dude.
They
where
rickroll
always
us,
just like
dude.
they always start off super serious instead of just being like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." But no, they're like, "Hey, you need to we gotta tell you the big news, like you got something wrong." But it's not a big deal, It's like what, start off with that,
Oh, and by the way, for information
Right.
purposes, the nurse that did it, not ugly either. So
Hey, nice.
no, but it wasn't nice. It was
Hey.
annoying. I would have
Hey,
rather
listen, this
had some
time-
like 70-year-old old lady where I could just like not have to focus on not doing something. But anyway, that was the adventures of my 20s, so not there anymore. So, all right, well,
You
ladies and
old
gentlemen,
fuck.
welcome to the podcast this week. What a way to start. The way we normally start is with the question of the week, and we're still gonna do that. But we started with medical stories. Oh, I guess my week. I did
Yeah, how was
absolutely
your week?
I did absolutely nothing. That's not
Oh,
true.
that's fair.
I didn't do that much in like pop culture stuff. I did a lot like in my personal life. I was very busy. That's why I didn't get to a whole lot. But just trying to get the new job set up, get going on that, get school all set up. I took a tour of my new campus. That was fine. I mean, it's a college campus. It's a city college campus, so a bunch of buildings placed really close together.
Yeah.
But then I met with my advisor, got my classes all set up, so hopefully I get done with that fairly shortly. So although, I don't know if you told Amy or not, I'm sure she's jealous that hopefully at the end of this year I'll know how to speak Japanese more than she will.
Hey, Amy. Mike said he's going to be able to learn way more Japanese. So when at his new college, he has to learn Japanese as one of his.
That would be cool. I wish I could like take classes. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Now Mike says you're going to be jealous of him.
I am.
Hey,
You'll
you know
have to
what?
teach me, Mike. We can talk together.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we can have conversation.
Yeah, because she's been on top of it. She keeps she gets on her phone and does was it Duolingo or whatever every day. So
Yeah.
she's learned quite a bit.
Well,
so hey, and then when finally we get to go to Japan, which I would love to go to Japan at some point, Amy will be the one talking because I have no idea and I suck at learning languages. Clearly, I can't even speak my own language properly all the time. So I don't want to try learning another language.
Well, I'll be taking 4 classes in the next year on it, so.
Noun town.
What?
Noun town.
Noun town. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like this VR game she's gonna buy too that she's gonna play, and you can like learn languages, I guess, with it
Oh,
too.
I might have
I
to
guess
look-
like you like work jobs. Yeah, so like you do like jobs, and then you have to like learn the language while you're doing the job, which is kind of cool.
I might have to
That's a
look
smart
into
way to
that.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all my language classes are going to be online, so I'm going to have to find supplemental ways to actually learn it. So that's going to be annoying. Anyway,
Dude,
all
that's
right.
pretty sick though.
Hey, oh my god, my brain is collapsing. All right, like we do every single week, we start with a question of the week. This week's question came from literally out of nowhere. I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything last night, so this is what I did come up with. Mr. Birdman, what is one gaming franchise, particularly that you're a fan of, that you wish would just die already?
That's an easy answer. Very easy answer.
Now think.
Halo.
Okay, I was gonna say. Okay, think of it. Think of what you're saying. Die means it's gone for like a
Yes.
while.
I'm fine with that.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
that's interesting.
I really want Halo to just die. Go, I don't know. You said for a while, right? So I mean, just like
I guess a while or forever. I guess. I mean, there's plenty of. Oh god, my dog is squeaking.
Oh, I see the tail back there.
My
But
dog is having. She's been in a needy mood. Go play catch.
But yeah, I think Halo just needs to die because they don't know what they want with it anymore. The story doesn't seem like it has a direction. Like compared to Gears of War, where maybe some people don't think that should keep going. At least they are adding more to the story. It makes more sense in my opinion. And it's not going in just a weird direction. It doesn't make any sense. And that's where Halo is right now. They just don't know what they want. And that's why I kind of wanted to just die and take some time. Maybe come back in a couple years or so. I don't know. Maybe even a lot of years. I don't know. But if it died and stayed dead, I also wouldn't be upset because it had a good run. Halo was good. And honestly, after Halo 3, I think Halo should have died then because Halo 3 was the
Hold
perfect
on.
ending.
We got
So-
Reach at least.
Well, Reach was that's a prequel, so that's fine. They
But
could
it's
do
after
more
Halo 3.
They could do more Halos like that. I would be fine with that. I'd love to see more like another Halo ODST or like they could do spin-offs. That's cool. It's just like Star Wars. We're probably never gonna get another sequel. I mean, I hope to God not. And it's all gonna just be different stories. Halo could do that. So I guess if I am saying Halo in general, then yeah, then they couldn't do that. But also, I can't trust Halo because the last 2 Halos have been absolute dog shit. Sorry, people, but they truly have been really bad.
I'll be
Even
honest.
Halo 4 was also not really a great Halo. It was mediocre at best, but it wasn't like god awful. But it also, you could just tell with Halo 4, they just didn't know where they wanted to go. And it just seemed like they pushed it onto them to make another Halo. When in reality, Halo 3 was a really good ending to the story. They could go off and do different stories, which I'd be fine with. They could do stories before the Covenant attacked. There's so many things they can do, but they're so stuck on pushing it forward when in reality it already ended, in my opinion, with Halo 3. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think you have to apologize. I think even Halo fans are fed up with
That's
Halo.
fair.
Like dude, it was such a weird time. Like Halo Infinite came out, and nobody said anything about it. No one talked about it at all, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, whether people like it or not, your Call of Duties, your EA Sports games and things. There's conversations around them. There's people who like say, "Hey, we want this, we want that. This sucks. Fix this. Yada yada yada. Whatever it is. At least there's people talking and engaging." And I guess correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a single thing being said about Halo Infinite a couple days after it launched.
Yeah.
Maybe a week, 2 weeks. I guess I'll give it that. But I just
It
don't
was
remember.
all the talk. Go on.
No, you're good. I just don't remember any conversation happening around the game. It was just it launched and people were like, okay, move on to something else.
Most of the talk was negative talk at
Yeah.
that point. And, I mean, it was inevitable. But I still think Halo Infinite's story was, pretty good, but it just wasn't there, And I think after Halo Infinite, the huge failure that is, and especially the bigger failure, which was Halo 5, in my opinion, which is basically the last Jedi of this trilogy, the one that kind of just butchered the entire story, and now they clearly don't know where they... Basically, literally, actually, Halo 5 is literally The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker is literally Halo Infinite. It's exactly the same. Actually, that is really funny. They are pretty much the exact same. That clearly shows you that Halo has no fucking clue where they want to go with the story. Halo Infinite had to basically try to fix the story by cutting out things that were supposed to happen at the end of Halo 5. So they literally did the same thing in Rise of Skywalker, same thing for Halo Infinite. So yeah, I want Halo to die. I just want it to die. And by the way, I'm a gigantic fan of Halo. Halo is like one of my favorite franchises in gaming. I grew up with Halo. I've been obsessed with Halo. One of my favorite games in my top 10 is Halo 3. I know Halo 2 is up there too. All the Halos, at least Bungie Halos were the best Halos. They were so good. They changed gaming for me. But like I am fine with it dying. I'm fine with maybe 343 moving on to something different. I don't know. I just don't want to see Halo anymore. It's sad to say, but I think they butchered Halo so much that I don't want to see it anymore. I'd rather them make something new and leave Halo to be a legacy, And that's what it is. Halo is what's made shooters what they are today. It really evolved the whole video game franchise, especially first-person shooters in general. And so just let it die. We don't see a ton of 007 games coming out today. I mean, I know that's what also changed first-person shooters. We don't keep seeing those keep getting shoved out. I guess there is a new 007 game coming out. But, whatever. It's just like, just let it die. Let it die. And if the new Gears of War sucks, then let that die too. Because Gears of War was great. And I still like Gears of War. But if it has to die too, then fine. I want them to move on. I want something new.
I mean, I've always said Gears of War is my favorite outside of Forza, but is my favorite like Xbox franchise or Xbox owned property. I just love Gears of War. I'm not as deeply ingrained as Logan is and the Xbox infrastructure and all that, but all right,
More like was tough.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? I guess.
Yeah.
All right, mine's not that deep. All of my like major franchises that I absolutely love, are mostly on the Sony side, which, you know, some of them they continue on, but, you know, they do a decent job of leaving things behind when, you know, when
they're dead.
Yeah, when it's ran. Well, not when it's dead, when it's ran its natural course. Like, you think of something like Uncharted. We haven't had another Uncharted in 8 years. And, like, they just kind of were, like, okay with leaving it. The story came to its natural conclusion, and they moved on to other stuff. So, I don't have any major thing, but there is one publisher who makes 2 franchises that I particularly enjoy. One of them I absolutely love and adore. Another one I've always enjoyed playing the games. So I was going back and forth between which one I wanted to truly die and never see again, and I would be okay with never playing again. That's how I was thinking about it. Those 2 franchises are Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. I love both of, well, I love one of them. I like the other one. And I was like, which one would I be okay with never playing again? And it's Far Cry.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Here's the thing. Assassin's Creed is the one I love. I absolutely love the Assassin's Creed franchise. Obviously not in its modern era. But if I ask myself, would I be okay if I never played another Assassin's Creed again? I don't think I can honestly tell myself I'd be fine with that. Like, I know we talk all kinds of stuff, but I have played every single Assassin's Creed game that's ever been released. Even there's not like the Flash games, okay? I'm not that insane. But, like, I played the PS Vita one, all the main title ones, even the spin-offs like Rogue, which people seem to like, but I don't like Rogue, and I just don't think I'd be okay with it. With never playing it again. I would be 100% okay with playing Far Cry. I personally think Far Cry 6 was so bad it turned me off the entire franchise, which is wild because I loved Far Cry 5. It brought me back to the series after I think I was feeling a little drained with, like, Far Cry 4 was good, but it wasn't great. I really enjoyed Primal. But it wasn't, like, amazing or anything like that. So I was softening on the franchise by the time 5 came out. And then 5 came out, and I was like, this was absolutely amazing. I love the setting. The characters were fun. Not all of them. Some of them were a little annoying, and the ending wasn't the best thing ever written. But I really overall enjoyed it. And then New Dawn came out, and I was like, okay, this is kind of rough. I don't like all the additional RPG elements. Role-playing game, not rocket launcher. I guess technically both apply. And I was like, I don't really like this. It makes it feel more of, like, you know, a stat-driven game instead of a carnage-driven game, which Far Cry always was. It was a freedom and a carnage-driven game. You could do whatever you want, blow whatever you want up. And then 6 graces with its presence. And I personally think that game is so poorly made that I would be okay with never playing a Far Cry game again.
Yeah, that game, it's the biggest disappointment for me because, like, after Far Cry 5, I really felt like they were evolving. They were doing some cool stuff, especially for me, I know a lot of people don't care about this, but Map Editor, they did some insane stuff with that. They brought back multiplayer. They brought back an insane amount of stuff in the Map Editor. And the cool thing with the Map Editor, they brought all their franchises into one, so you could put stuff from, like, Watch Dogs in there. You could put, like, a ton of things. They just had so much going on. The community was great. The game was amazing. I put so much time in the Far Cry 5. I was absolutely obsessed with that game, and I love it to death. It's so freaking good. And then, Far Cry 6 comes out, and they took out freaking a mode that's been in since the first Far Cry, which is the map editor, because they said, we're focusing more on the story in that, when in reality, they just fucking were lazy, and they went to shove out another Far Cry game, and they came out with a garbage-ass, not really good story, with a villain that's not interesting, and they took out a lot of the fun gameplay of, like, the fun with stealth and everything, because they took out, like, just all the animations, like, when it comes to, like, taking down enemies. It's not as fluid. I mean, heck, go play Far Cry 3. Dude, it's far more fluid than playing Far Cry 6.
Dude, Far Cry 3 stealth mechanics were amazing. So amazing. And they never touched it. Far Cry 4, not as good. Primal.
Well, that's a lie. Far Cry 4 did add some new stuff that was really cool. Like, especially the fact that you could jump from car to car and you could do some other stuff. That
I was talking mostly about the stealth.
Cool. Stealth was really good. I don't know where
Yeah,
you
but
got in Far
I
Cry 4.
don't.
I thought it was really good in Far Cry 4.
I don't think it's as good as Far Cry 3. Far Cry
Well,
3's had.
okay, but Far Cry 3 was,
Well, no, that's what I was saying.
these-
They've
yeah.
never reached that quality again, and everything, honestly, not just stealth, but like dude, the what do I want to say? It's like the locomotion of the stealth interactions, like the chaining that you can chain, throw a knife, gun, and it all worked so well, and it felt like things were designed in a way to like encourage you to do stuff like that and to give you that power trip, that sense of feel and place. And like, I don't think any of them have ever touched that. Like, dude, the stealth mechanics in 6 are garbage. You can technically still chain kill, but it never works. The camera's so shaky, it's almost impossible to get lined up. Like, mostly I just mash the button and hope that it registers. But yeah, the inventory system, garbage. The enemy design with, you have to use different types of bullets for different types of people, and
which is just dumb.
and then if you have like a stealth equipped armor suits because you're trying to be stealthy, and then everything breaks down, you have to pause the game, scroll over to your inventory, then select your more armor focused thing, and I'm like, what? This isn't a turn-based strategy game. Why am I spending so much time in the menus? I'm okay with spending times in the menus if it's like a JRPG, like traditional. Like, that's what the game is designed around, for you to be in the menus, because usually those menus are very cut, clear, they're super snappy, you can get in, get out. Far Cry 6's menus weren't made like that, so it fucking lagged every time you opened it up, and it defaulted to the map. When I'm not trying to look at the map in the middle of a fight, I'm trying to get to my armor, and dude, I don't know. There's just so many things wrong with it. It's it's one of the only Far Cry games I didn't even at least put 20 plus hours in. I think I put 15, and I'm like, I can't play this game anymore. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It doesn't even feel like Far Cry anymore. It feels like, just a kind of a modern day open world game, because like, the setting is so dense and populated. You feel like you're in civilization. You're not in the wildness. You're not the wilderness. You're not in the wild and all that. Like, there's barely any animals. Like, there are some, but none of them are random. They're all in the designated points. So you remember in Far Cry 3, just walking through a jungle, and all of a sudden you hear something. You're like, fuck.
Oh, I know, right?
And like, you're freaking out because these things are going to take you out. Like, a tiger would run up or something, and you're like, oh my god, like, it just stresses you out. And even in 5, like, a bear would run up, I'm like, okay, I got this.
Yeah, like, it's just like, yeah, they did add some stuff that I thought was really cool that I would love to see, and like, if they are going to change the next Far Cry game and actually update it and fix it and not do Far Cry 6 problem again, hopefully they go back to their roots with Far Cry 5, which is sad to say, go back to the roots when Far Cry 5 was literally out before, like, not that long ago, like 5 years or whatever now. So it's like I don't know, like, they added like the whole. I do like the fact that like you can hide your weapons and you can actually like don't have to fight all the time. I like that new feature. I like that the map was a lot bigger. That's also very exciting. But that doesn't help when the fact that the gameplay is so lacking, and also just the dumb ammo system is a big fun just killer for the game. Like, you literally had Far Cry 5 where you could just change between ammo types, but that it didn't matter what ammo type you use. It's just like, if you did use that different ammo type, it would just do a little bit more damage or do something different to certain things that you're trying to fight. But in this game, it's like you literally have to use specific ammo types for specific enemies, and like, that's fucking lame. The whole point of the Far Cry game is you're basically an action hero. That's what you are. You're an action hero. You're blowing shit up. You're killing people. You're killing the enemies. You're taking out outposts. That's Far Cry. It's very simplistic. It's very basic. It's as I was talking about with Resident Evil 4, it's like a B movie action movie, freaking, that's all this. It's like a Die Hard. You're basically playing Die Hard. That's what you are. You are an action hero. That's what the whole point of the Far Cry games have always been. You're other than Far Cry 2 and that's a little bit of a different story. But yeah, like, you've always just been super fast, and stealth gameplay always felt super satisfying, especially in Far Cry 3. When you do max out all your stuff, you could really chain kills real quickly, do some really badass stuff, like pull out a gun and shoot a bunch of people real quick. It was so cool. And then you get Far Cry 6, and all that's gone. Like, they just took all that away. and they made the stealth gameplay absolutely horrible. So basically, you don't even want to be stealthy. You just want to be all shooty the entire time, and it's just so dumb. Like it
Dude,
sucks because Far Cry 6 could have been so good. It had everything that they needed, but then they took it all away and they decided to go for the whole Ubisoft approach with adding gear systems where if you wear this gear, you'll get this bonus. It's like, why does every game need this? It's not an RPG. It never was an RPG, Far Cry games. Not really. It's always been like, yeah, you have a skill tree, but that was the whole thing. You just had a skill tree. You can level up and get bonus things, but that was the whole point. It wasn't like, oh, I need this gear. I need this weapon that has a 56 instead of a 54. Like, dude, it's so dumb. It's not Far Cry. Far Cry is just you pick up a gun and you kill. Boom. That's Far Cry. It's just supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be about getting your gear to a certain level. It's so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, to make the ammo system even worse, if you know you do run into an enemy that is resistant to a bullet but weak to another bullet, which is again how dumb that system is. It's not a quick change menu change. You actually have to go back to your camp and either change out the ammo or get a different gun and then go back and do it again, which just it discourages exploration, which is the sole reason why people love Far Cry games, is just to explore. I don't know, man. I could go on a discussion about this for years.
Especially with like the experimentation. Yeah, like just messing with different guns, you know? Like, I don't know. It just sucks. Because, like, I especially love that they added a tank. Cool. Awesome. I love that stuff. Like, there's so many things, and especially that new weird thing where you put weapons together. Cool. Very awesome. I know that was kind of comes from New Dawn, but, you know, still, that was a really cool system. The backpack system. Cool. I like that. It's Far Cry as shit, you know, blowing shit up. Who cares? I'm fine with that. I'm not looking to Far Cry to be a very realistic game. I'm looking at it to be a badass. That's the whole feeling you're supposed to get from it. So, yeah, I can keep going on about this too, but
so
it's always disappointing.
It always had RPG elements with the skill tree, like especially what they introduced in 3 and all that. But there's a difference between including some of those really fun, innate RPG elements of a skill tree and these other things, and being an entire RPG where you have gear systems, loot, builds, you know, a skill tree, all these different things. And that's a very big difference between those two different games. And Ubisoft keeps trying to make everything a legit open world RPG. I'm like, that's never what your players loved your games for. They liked the open worlds. They didn't like all the other stuff. And by the way, again, we've said this, bigger isn't better. Please stop making your game so freaking massive. It's not enjoyable anymore. It's too big. It's too long. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the XP Podcast, a weekly video game and pop culture news podcast where Logan and myself sit down with y'all and talk about all the news stories and happenings inside and out of the video game world. We post. What is that? We post. Oh my God.
We post some videos on
We
the
post
YouTubes.
a new episode each and every Monday at 8 a.m. so you can listen to it throughout the week whenever you want. You can find us on most of the popular podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the XP Podcast, though, please support us over on a Patreon where you get to be a part of our weekly discussions and give us your opinions on everything we talk about and everything we don't. You'll also be able to find all of our uploads there, along with any exclusive episodes we may post. Links for that, as always, are in the description down below, or you can simply go to patreon.com and search Experience Point, spelled capital X, capital PERIENCEPOINT. However, if you don't have any money to send our way, don't worry, guys. We still love and appreciate you for listening to us and being a part of what is hopefully a growing community. You can also go over to our YouTube channel. We can get this show and all of our shows in video format. If you do find us over there, please don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you can be aware of everything we post when we decide to post it. Speaking of posting, new episode reminders and notifications for you. I ran out of breath. Final Fantasy 16 State of Play reactions are up. It is over. It was at 9:05.
9:08 right now.
9:08. It's
Damn,
amazing.
dude.
Thank you, all of us. If you guys have made it from that video to this video, thank you so much for watching that, enjoying that, and sticking with us here at the XP Podcast. We hope more and more of you keep coming back, we'll keep doing those reactions, whether it be myself, whether it be just myself like that one was, or whether Logan and I get in here together. We're going to keep trying to push those out. We know you guys like them. We enjoy doing them. It's just hard sometimes to match up schedules and everything. And, if we miss it by a day, probably everything got spoiled for us anyway. So we try to get that to you, but we'll keep doing those. Also, episode 46 is up. People are enjoying that one. We give you our review for the Super Mario Brothers. Talk about the Redfall going head-to-head with the FPS battle out there. Suicide Squad officially being delayed. And Dreams is Dead. Final notification and update for you. Go check out our Resident Evil 4 Remake 2023 edition review. Logan and I both really, really love the game. Spoiler alert, it is my first 10 out of 10. But go over there. Hear what we each have to say. I think it's a good discussion. We did miss a couple things, which we corrected last week. So I guess technically watch everything and you'll get the full review and everything. So, all right, though. With all that out of the way, let's get into this week's show. No point in the show this week. We wanted to cut down on this episode. We've been going a little long the last couple weeks, so we wanted to give you guys a more tight-knit show. So just for this week, though. No point in the show. We'll come back next week with maybe something. All right, anyway, in around the point, though, Sony and PlayStation are buying another unknown multiplayer studio. I think it's fair to say the writing is on the wall for what their future is looking like. Xbox has teased a game in development for an established franchise, although it sounds like we're going to have to wait a while to get it. And the day before developers return to us once again, what now do they have to say? Then in LTR, we dive into the reviews for the long awaited Dead Island 2 and Horizon Forbidden West's DLC, The Burning Shores. But before we get to all that, it's time for what is and forever will be the rundown, where we catch up on all things pop culture that we've been doing, whether that be gaming, TV shows, movies, books, or comics. It doesn't matter to us because we like it all and love to talk about it. So, Mr. Birdman, what, sir, have you been doing?
Well, this could be a very short rundown because, let's be honest. So all I've done this week is played some more Monopoly Go on the phone. By the way, very addicting, very fun little mobile game. Usually, again, we're not big on mobile games, but I've been keeping up with it every day. It's a short little fun game. I get on in the morning or so. I roll my dice, try to get as much money as possible so I keep moving up to different locations, and it's fun. It's really good. It's kind of addicting, it's really not bad. Like, you don't really have to spend money on it at all or anything. It's kind of just chill. Like, you roll the dice for a little bit. There's some semi a little bit of strategy in the fact that, like, you don't want to always crank up the multiplier to the max every time you play, because sometimes you can get really bad rolls. Like, I've had a few days where I've had really bad rolls and it's like I barely got anything out of it. So you gotta kind of plan out how much dice you have and how much multiplier you want to use to get a certain amount of rolls and everything. I did learn this week that you can actually target people. It's really not like super worth it, but if you really just want to mess with someone for fun, you could always just target your friends and keep trying to take down all their locations if you feel the need to do that. I did it to Mike just because I wanted to test it out just to see how fun it'd be. But yeah, it's fun. It's a small little mobile game I get to play every day. It's a time waster, and it's good fun. So, do you want to say anything about Monopoly since you've been playing it too?
Yeah, it's just enjoyable. It gives me something to do throughout the day. Excuse me. I look forward to, waking up, getting on there, opening my chest, seeing what new. Man, I'm having the hiccups. Excuse me. Seeing what new is on there. They do a decent job. I mean, it's new, so of course they do. They do a good job of rotating things in and out. I mean, most of it is all mobile mumbo jumbo, where it's just like, oh, you get boost for this. Here's a collection of this. Here's this. And it's like, okay, well, this is all just a lot of nonsense. But it's fun to just keep seeing Kona's tail wag in the background every now and then. Her mom's not up yet, so she wants my attention, and I'm busy, so. But yeah, no, it's overall good. I got passed up on my leaderboard. I was the number one for the longest time, and someone passed me up, so now I'm angry. But there's always something to get on there and go for. Like in my mind, even if I have bad rolls and I don't get any good like money or anything, I usually would pick up some sort of boost or some sort of items that are building towards everything else. Like I've gotten deep into the card system and like trading and all that. Peyton and I always go back and forth. Like what cards do you need? I have extras of this one. There's a whole Facebook community for it that seems to be pretty okay. It doesn't seem to be too like internet trolly or anything like that. Like I've traded with a couple people on there, so that seems to be working well. And they give you boost for every single little collections you get. So, like I said, it's all a bunch of mobile mumbo jumbo, but it is enjoyable, and it's a innate thing of just getting on there for 20 minutes, doing some rolls, getting some money, upgrading some things, and then bouncing out. I do wish you build up die a little quicker, so there's like be more to engage with, but obviously they want you to spend money, so
Yeah,
they're not
like
going to
because
do
it takes
that.
like
So,
an hour to get 5 dice.
well, it takes an hour
So-
for me to get 6 dice now. I've
6
upgraded
dice,
that.
okay.
I've upgraded that ability. So
Yeah, so that's the only like.
yeah,
But again, it's not a game that you should be sitting on and playing for hours upon hours. It's like a game that you start up every so often in a day. You roll your dice, get your stuff done, and then you get off. And it's fun. It's just a short little addicting game. And again, it's a very good time waster. Like I've talked about last week when I was waiting for a movie, I literally just opened it up, played it. I'm like, oh man, well, it's almost time to go see the movie. I'm like, sweet. So, if
yeah,
you guys like Monopoly again, trust me, it's a fun little download. I don't usually like mobile games. I haven't played a mobile game like this in literally since I was in high school.
yeah,
So that was like
years.
2016. So the fact that I'm getting addicted to this game, it means there's something fun about it. So yeah, if it's a free download, give it a try. Don't let them trick you into paying for things. Please don't spend money on it. Don't be that person. Like, trust me, unless you have expendable income and you really just want to put some money down on it, I guess that's up to you. But I recommend you just play the game. You don't need to spend money. I don't spend any money. I'm sure Mike doesn't spend any money. I just play the game whenever my dice are ready, and it's fun. And sometimes you get a lot of dice for some things. Like I have a thing right now where if I get enough life jackets or whatever, I get 500 dice. So whenever that happens, dude, I'm gonna get some.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna get some
am.
stuff done.
I'm 80 away from that one. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. The other game that Logan and I are playing together is Modern Warfare 2, continuing our adventures on that. I told Logan I would play it when I had time. I do have time, so I am playing it. I'm a man of my word. There just was no time ever for me to play it, at least in my eyes. But yeah, like I'm fairly enjoying it. I think we're gonna get on here once we get off, once we get done this recording, do some more grinding. It's double XP weekend, get some guns, level some stuff up, and there's not too much, deep things to talk about here. It's Modern Warfare 2. I think just innately, when you're playing with a friend and just hanging out, if you approach it as just getting on here, chilling for a little bit, upgrading some guns, doing some things, not taking it uber seriously, I think it's just innately a fun game to play. I think, obviously if you're like a hardcore Call of Duty player and, like you stream on Twitch and you have all these other things, this game's probably fairly annoying to play from what I can tell out there. But for Logan and myself, at least for me, playing with him is just hang out, have fun. And that's the way I approach it. So
And I will say we've been having a lot of fun too with Warzone and everything. We do take that a little bit more seriously than like normal multiplayer, like Shipment. We've been playing a lot of Shipment recently, and that's been very fun.
just
It's been a good
chaotic
time.
mess.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Um,
I mean, we had a good day the other day. Every single game we got, well, almost every single game we got top 5. We got 6th place in one of them. So
mhm.
we're fairly inept. And we seem to trade good games. We can't really ever link up to where we both have a good game together. We seem to go
That's
back
fair,
and
yeah.
forth with, one game Logan's playing really, really well, and every once in a while I'll put in a good game. There was that one game I carried us to a win. That was awesome. But yeah, it always seems like we can't match up like our skill sets or how on we almost said turned on, but that's not the right word. How
Yeah, especially with
engaged we are.
Warzone. Yeah, especially Warzone. Like, dude, I don't know why, but I've been struggling a little bit with Warzone. Like, usually, sometimes I do pretty good, yeah, but then like there was a couple really insane matches where we got super close to getting first place, which we did win a Warzone thanks to Mike on the most fucking clutch move of all time, where literally had a self revive, and it was probably me and him, and there was like another like squad or two left.
There were two other teams when I went down.
Yeah, so one guy shot Mike down and I killed him, but then next there was a guy on top of the hill that shot me down. But I guess he didn't realize that Mike was still down on the ground. So I started to like crawl away, and the dude chased after me to kill me. Mike got up, and I'm like, wait, Mike, you're still alive? And then he just comes around and kills the dude. We get the win. It was so awesome. It was so cool because it was really funny too, because Mike was able to buy me back like a little bit ago. So like I didn't even have full gear or anything at that moment. Like I just scavenged to get some weapons real quick to get to that ending part. But yeah, we got the win. That was super cool. I mean, Warzone's been a lot of fun. It's been a really good time. I will say, let me tell you a little story about my fun experience though with season
Real
3
quick,
so far.
before you get into that, I want to talk about that game that we won, because I don't want to. Yeah, the ending was cool, and I pulled it off, but I think it was kind of because that guy wasn't paying attention. But the funnest part was I got real quiet because I was popping myself, and all you hear is, "Wait, are you still alive?" I'm like, "Yep," and then I just came around the corner.
Yeah.
That was cool. But man, that revive that I pulled off, I still have no clue how I fucking stealth sent that.
Yeah.
Because like the storm was coming in, and I just full sent to this buy station, and there were like two teams, and I just went straight down the middle of them, bought them back, and deuced. And Logan was like, "I don't know how you got that in." I'm like, sometimes you just got a full send. People aren't expecting it.
Oh, and the funny game we had recently where we were in that like sandy part of the map, and we
Oh, that was the worst ending ever.
Dude, that was so funny because I literally the buy station was right there, so I had like a ton of money.
Oh no,
like,
that one. Okay,
I had
okay.
a lot of money. Like, so I kept like killing people, going outside, buying Mike back. Mike would come back, die, go back outside, get to the buy station, bought him back again. I bought him like 4 times in a row. It was absolutely hilarious. And dude, we were doing so good. And then all of a sudden, the circle got us, and you got hit with a trap, and then it was too much. I had to keep running, and then someone got me, and it really sucked. But dude, we were doing so I mean, at least we were getting there real quick, but we were just so cramped in that crappy space, it got us killed.
It did help that you were buying me back, but I had a pistol to work with, which was a real good end game weapon. And then the other one that we lost was just the circle got us. That was the worst ending ever. It was in the middle of a river with the 2 shorelines, and that was the end of the circle. And I was like, okay, well, I'm laying in this bush trying to do stuff, and everyone had snipers, and I have this freaking submachine gun hip fire build. I'm like, well, this is gonna go well. So, but yeah. Anyway, you were saying your struggles,
Yeah, so the one thing I haven't been having fun with Maverick 2 is, so recently with the new so this was a journey and a half. So when season 3 started, before season 3 started, I linked my PC Steam account to my Xbox account. And so, I ever since then though, I started having issues, which was
I played Tug of War.
Oh, no, you're fine. So it was really frustrating. So, like, for example, or not for example, what has been happening. So I was on Xbox, season 3 started, I got a multiplayer, and I tried to join a match. So the first thing I noticed before I even knew about the bigger problem was I tried to go customize my loadouts, and they just wouldn't load. I would click on it, it'd say fetching online profile, nothing. I would go to firing range, wouldn't let me load up firing range. And I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, but I'm like, all right, maybe it's just some weird glitch. Modern Warfare has these problems, which I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They should have this shit fixed with how big of a company they are, but whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll get in multiplayer. I get in multiplayer, and the most just terrifying thing you can think of happens, where literally the game starts, and it's like flickering. It's like, and it's like, and I couldn't pick a loadout, and the game was running at like a solid like 4 FPS. It was really bad. I sent a video to Mike, and he even noticed it too. It's really bad. It was awful. And even when you do load in with this 4 FPS and everything, I couldn't control my character. I couldn't do anything, and it was just frustrating.
Sorry for the viewers out there. Hold on. Sorry for the viewers. I clicked the wrong button. Everything just went dark for a second.
Oh,
my bad. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
But so yeah, like it was really frustrating. So I'm like, okay, what's the normal thing to do? quit the game, restart it, see if that works. Didn't work. Okay, restart my Xbox, go back in, try it again. Okay, no. Reset the cache on my Xbox. No, didn't do anything. I was like, okay, uninstall, reinstall, fresh install, and everything. Nothing. I looked up all these things. I'm like, no one was saying anything about it. It was very frustrating because I'm like, am I literally the only one having this problem? It was so annoying. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I don't know why it's going on. So, for example, I was starting to kind of like try to think of like ideas. I'm like, okay, what could be causing this? You know, it has to be something. I was trying to solve it myself. And I thought the solution was, I thought since I linked it to my Steam account, that's the reason why it's doing it. So I purchased multiplayer on my PC and I tested on there, and it's having the exact same problem that I was on the Xbox. It was I couldn't load my loadouts, I couldn't get into firing range, and I tried to join a multiplayer match and it did the same thing. It was like 4 FPS. It wouldn't let me choose my loadout. I couldn't control my character. So I'm like, okay, it has to be something with the linking process. Well, turns out that wasn't even the solution either. So I had like a 3-day thing with emails back and forth with Activision support, and then giving me the most bullshit things like, oh, did you reset your loadouts? Did you restart your Xbox? Is it just your Xbox? Is any other game having this problem? I'm like, no. And that's not working. And then they should have made me literally record a video and put it on YouTube just so they can freaking see what the problem was. And I had to like give them all this information. And basically, it was just a bunch of bullshit. They didn't really do anything to help me. And then randomly, the other day, it just started working again. The game just fixed itself. They had an update, I guess, and it fixed itself. And what I could basically come to conclusion of what the problem was supposedly Call of Duty had a DDoS attack on its servers, and it basically affected a bunch of people, because on Reddit, I started to notice not only me, I noticed a bunch of other people having this same problem. So for the people out there that are having this problem, basically all I can tell you is just wait, and hopefully it'll fix itself, because that's kind of what happened to me. It just fixed itself. It was very frustrating, and you're not the only one that had that problem, because I was as well. And it was very annoying because me and Mike were trying to play multiplayer, but I couldn't. So all I could play, and also the weird thing about this, Warzone and DMZ worked flawlessly. Both Xbox and PC worked flawlessly. No problem. No, I didn't have a single issue with it. It's just multiplayer. So that was my experience with with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 so far in Season 3. It has not been... most of it wasn't fun.
But it is
until
fixed
the last
now,
2 days.
so...
Yeah, now it's fixed. It's great. Everything works flawlessly. I'm having fun. So, yeah. I wanted to get that out there. That was a funny little story, a funny little adventure this week with me and Modern Warfare 2. So, yeah. All right. What about you? Anything else? I guess I can go real quick and just say I've been playing more Ready or Not too, by the way. Not much more to say other than it's a great game, very fun, fully recommend it. Just letting you know it's a difficult game. It is extremely difficult, the game, but it's really fun. So
I don't think that came through at all.
no, it did not.
Damn it. I need to turn the
Dude,
noise
it's
suppression
too
off.
good.
All right. Get my Mountain Dew. Me. I'm so dumb. All right. So a couple other things. I don't have too much. So, okay. Kept watching Suits. Don't want to talk about it anymore. If you like lawyer shows, Suits is the best out there. I bought this new book. I'm really excited about it. This one's kind of gonna... This one's gonna take you by surprise. All right, you know I'm a graphic novel guy. That's actually... I prefer graphic novels. I bought this book. It's called Villains Are Destined to Die. Here's the cover.
Well then. All right.
It is a manga style book, but it actually, you open it the right way. Oh, okay, here you go. You open it the right way. And it's not black and white.
Well then.
Yeah.
What made you get that?
Honestly, I was doing stuff at work and I saw it, and you know, now that I've put in my notice, I don't really care, so I just was kind of standing there in the aisle looking at it. And it seemed pretty cool. I haven't dug into it. I just bought it. It seems like, you know, the story is being told from two different perspectives, and this lady, the main character, is like she's playing this game where you can play as the heroine or the villain, and like the goal of the game is kind of like some of the Steam games we see where, you know, like you're supposed to charm the other characters and woo them, and it's kind of like seems like some kind of dating sim and all that. But like the main character is playing these two different characters in this game, but it seems like the story is kind of interwoven within the narrative of the game. So I don't know. It seems really interesting. I said there's like 4 volumes out right now. The artwork is really nice. I looked up some reviews. People said they really enjoyed it. So who knows? Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I'm digging into it. But I did start reading The Witcher, the thing I showed off last week. I mean, it's more The Witcher. I love it. Clearly, you can see my shelf up there. I happen to like The Witcher a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
And then the last thing, the big update. One of my favorite modern franchises in video games right now, Horizon, came out with its DLC. Haven't dug into it as much as I would have thought, and that's kind of two-pronged. Main prong is life is just right now I'm very busy with school and work and some other things, trying to get some car stuff done. My car's still getting worked on, so I'm trying to get that all taken care of. So life just kind of got in my way a little bit there. But then the second prong is this game kind of starts out really slow, and I think it's the innate problem with DLCs releasing so long after the game comes out, and I'm already done with it. I'm finding it kind of hard to sink back into that world, and I don't really think that's the game's problem because it really is just more Horizon, and I absolutely love Horizon, and I am kind of finally starting to get back in the groove after probably about 2 hours or so I've put into it. But yeah, I think that's just the innate problem of DLC. I was very much in Call of Duty mode, and I was playing this other like kind of small JRPG thing that I haven't talked about yet, but I will talk about shortly. And I was kind of not in Horizon mode, and I think that's the innate problem with how long sometimes it takes DLCs to come out. Is at least for me personally, I'm just not in that mindset anymore. So I'm trying to dig back into it. I need to get done with it by Friday. So I got a week to get done with that because I'm very much ready for Survivor, not the show, Jedi Survivor. I cannot wait for that. So, but overall, said early impressions, it's Horizon. If you liked Horizon Forbidden West, you're gonna like this. I think it's beautiful. They're doing a lot more with the DualSense controller. They really honed in on that and expanded on that. Visually, I said it back in my review. I think it's one of the best modern games we've ever seen in terms of character animation and world design, especially with world density. I don't know how they pulled this off, especially on the PS4. On the PS5, it looks even good. It looks even good. It looks even better. But yeah, it's Horizon. I'll give you my full detailed review hopefully next week on the episode. That probably will be my point of the show. I'll just give you a little short, detailed review, a little rapid fire review for the Angry Joe people out there. And we'll sit down and talk about that. But that is it. Nothing really exciting going on this week. I said, I've had a lot of adulting to do this week, so that's always fun, right?
Yeah, it's always a good time.
All right, well, if that is it, ladies and gentlemen, that was the rundown. We're going to go now to Around the Point, where we here at the video game world we here at the Experience Point go around the video game world and give you the news you need to know about. I was slow there. Number one on Around the Point, probably the biggest news story of the week. PlayStation and Sony have announced the acquisition of another studio, this time being Firewalk Studios. Reading from the article, the studio is hard at work at its first original AAA multiplayer game. Reading from a couple of the things here, and then we'll dive into it a little bit more. The studio head, Mr. Tony Hisu, I think is how you say his name, he says, building a new studio at scale has been an incredibly exhilarating and relentlessly daunting task. Fortunately, we've been supported by great partners throughout. Usually, Probably Monsters help us turbocharge in setting up a studio, and Sony has been supporting our project and our creative vision from the beginning. Today, we're taking the next natural step in joining PlayStation Studios. We've worked closely with Herman and the very talented team at PlayStation for years, helping to make our game even better. To join PlayStation Studios is to formally become part of the family that has produced many of the most storied games of our age, and we are honored. A little bit of news on what this company is. Firewalk Studios was founded in 2018 as part of Probably Monsters, which was itself founded by former Bungie CEO Harold Ryan. It also has a bunch of ex-Halo, Destiny, and I think Call of Duty developers on it. So the next multiplayer-focused studio joining PlayStation families, I think it's clear what the purpose is now behind all these smaller initial studios. I was getting some reactions on Reddit and all that about people's reactions to this. And of course, I had to dive through the litany of BS on there. But people are saying, like, we've seen for quite a few years now, we've heard Sony is making this push into multiplayer, live service, IPs, the whole gambit of what it is out there. And, one after another, Firewalk, Haven, all these brand new studios that are being built up with the help of Sony, and then Sony wrapping them into the family. Now, I'm not saying any of this is going to work out. I have absolutely no clue if it's going to work out or not. But I think the point is clear of what Sony is trying to do. They're trying to have this whole other, little echelon of their business strategy that is focused on the multiplayer, which we haven't seen for them since the PS3 era, where they really had multiplayer games. You think Killzone, Resistance. There's another one that I'm forgetting, but they're really making this.
They had SOCOM too.
SOCOM, there it is. Yeah. There was a whole bunch. Sony actually, while they've never been at the level of Xbox in terms of multiplayer games and how good they are, they've always had their stuff, and they kind of got away. Not kind of. They definitely got away from that in the PS4 generation and now the early PS5. And I think it's clear to see with all these purchases of all these brand new studios, they're getting in early. And like I said, they have faith in them. I have no clue if any of this is going to be good or not. But the point and the plan, I think, is clear to see set forth. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what multiplayer games they're gonna make. I'm still curious about this Last of Us multiplayer thing that's supposed to be coming out. I would assume probably this year. I'm gonna assume it's gonna come out this year. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see Sony's actually making some multiplayer games, because that was one thing I really am not a big fan of PS4 last generation. Was all they focused on was strictly single player games, like pretty much literally every game except for probably Little Big Planet 3. I think that's literally the only multiplayer game they technically have out on the PS4 generation. I guess if you also want to count Ghost of Tsushima with its multiplayer mode, but not really any multiplayer games. So I'm happy to see that they're going back to it. I would still love to see Killzone make a comeback. I know they're making Horizon and all that, but man, I would love to see Killzone 2 or Killzone 3 remastered. I would totally play those multiplayer games again. I would love to see that come back again. I know they already probably pushed that away, but I mean, it would be pretty cool. I do really like Killzone multiplayer. I really enjoyed it back in the day on the PS3. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what multiplayer games they make. They gotta really. Hopefully, it's not going to be super egregious. I will admit, Sony has of recently with any of their multiplayer things have been pretty egregious. Like, for example, the Gran Turismo game, not very widely praised when it comes to its monetization practices on it. Not great. And if that's anything to go off of what hopefully their games are, I'm not seeing a bright future if it's anything going to be like that. I know they're different studios, but I don't know how much Sony had in the fact that Gran Turismo was made, or if it was mainly the studio that had the fault for that problem. Who knows? But I'm gonna hope they don't go down that line again. Hopefully, it's not gonna be super egregious, and I'm still very curious to see where they go with it. I want to see some actual multiplayer titles from Sony. I want to see them get back into that, because again, you said since PS3. I mean, that's all I remember from PS3 was a lot of multiplayer games. So I want to see them come back and come back strong. I want to see some good multiplayer games.
Yeah, and that's not it. And that's not even counting in all this that we're talking about that Deviation Games. I think they announced that in 2021, the building of that studio, and Sony hasn't officially bought them yet, but they did, like at their announcement, talk about how they were partnering with PlayStation on a multiplayer focused FPS. So I think it's, again, all this could fail. I have no clue, but I think if you just look at the plan and the way that they are executing it, it works really well. They're keeping their main studios. You know, there's the Santa Monica, the Naughty Dogs, the Insomniacs, the Sucker Punches, and those guys are always going to make the games that Sony is known for. Because I think well, not I think, I know from me personally, if they went away from that, I would be the first one to call them out. That's why I love you. Please don't stop making those games. But I think buying some of these young up and coming studios, I mean, this is the third studio that hasn't ever made a game yet that Sony has officially purchased, which is wild. We've never seen that from Sony ever before. So it's definitely a new era in the way they're going about doing things. And like we've talked about, they plan on making 10 or so, they said, live service games. They really only need one to hit. 9 of them could fail, but if they are able to find that one live service game that really hits, the money will come raking in. I mean, look at Fortnite, man. Epic makes so much money off Fortnite, it's not even funny. So they're just searching for that one big hitter, and I hope they do it the Sony and the PlayStation way that we all know. High bar of quality, high engagement, well done, well executed video games. I really hope they don't go down the Ubisoft game and just throw shit at the wall and see what runs down and get rid of that immediately. Like, let's hope. Although Extrafy, I'm looking into it a lot more.
Yeah, I will
Looks
admit,
really good.
Extrafy is honestly looking, that and Finals are two multiplayer games right now I'm looking forward to that honestly are very impressive right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Ubisoft, Extrafy, I mean, it's looking good. It's looking good, and I especially can tell that the developers were definitely Call of Duty developers because they are very heavily focusing on that classic feeling of Call of Duty, and it looks really fun. I'm actually really excited for it to come out. I'm really excited to give it a try. Yeah, I think our first really big one that we need to look out for Sony is, well, probably is going to be The Last of Us multiplayer.
Well, let's hope eventually.
And I would hope that it's this year because I mean that's one of the things I guessed or I predicted at the beginning of this year. If you want to go back to our first episode of this year, um, we were predicting some stuff, so I'm predicting again. I'm still sticking strong with that. That The Last of Us, their next big showcase, they are going to showcase the game and probably release it within the summer. I still think it's going to release during the summer, which would be the perfect time for them to release that game. So I can't wait. I'm still very excited for this Last of Us multiplayer. I hope it's really good. But again, that's gonna be I feel like that's gonna be their first one, the first big one that's gonna come out, and it has to hit strong.
It needs
especially
to hit,
for the people that love Last of Us multiplayer from back in the day. They really need to hit with it. So I'm not expecting an amazing story. I hope people don't expect that because I'm not expecting that. It's not gonna probably be as good as the Last of Us normal story. It's gonna be more focused probably on the multiplayer aspect. It's probably gonna be a very basic story, but I don't really care. I'm in it for the multiplayer. I'm in it for the environments and the gameplay. So hopefully they nail it. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how all this has played out in the past couple years. Sony seems to like be buying, like I said, these smaller studios who never made a game and surrounding them around the Bungie purchase. And it's like Bungie probably is, you know, easily top 5, top 3 in terms of how to make a live service online multiplayer focused shooter. Like, I mean, you love Halo, they're the best almost, you know. Call of Duty's really good, but you know, you can make an argument, like I'm not going to make that argument, but you can make the argument that they are either the best or in the conversation of the best. And it's like the building of, you know, it's like how people build basketball or football teams. Like you get that one player, that LeBron James, and just surround him with good talent that can support that. And that's kind of, I think, a decent analogy for what we're seeing here. Sony bought Bungie, they brought him into the studios and an expertise, and now they're just surrounding everybody around that purchase and saying, let's make this push, let's make this multiplayer a thing. A little bit further on the story, the head of PlayStation Studios, Mr. Herman Holst, who, if you don't know, was originally the co-founder of Guerrilla Games, there we go, who obviously He loves Killzone. He was one of the main guys who made Killzone, so he knows what it takes to make a multiplayer suite of games that people like and enjoy. Had this to say about the purchase. He said, since announcing our publishing partnership with Probably Monsters and Firewalk in 2021, we continue to be impressed by the team's ambitions to build a modern multiplayer game that connects players in new and innovative ways. The studio shares our passion for creating inspiring worlds grounded in exceptional gameplay, and we want to continue to invest in their mission. We're excited to bring their technical and creative expertise to PlayStation Studios to help grow our live service operations and deliver something truly special for the gamers. So like I said, I'm a big fan of PlayStation. I'm a big fan of Sony. I'm not the biggest multiplayer guy, but I do enjoy the occasional hangout and, just engage with that stuff. I hope these are good. I hope these hit. They're not all going to hit, Doesn't matter how good of a game you are, you got to find an audience. And if you don't, you're not going to be good. A perfect example is I still say Hyperscape was a good game. It just floundered out the gate, didn't find an audience, and Ubisoft doesn't know how to run a property properly. So which is the only thing that makes me worried about X Defiant. X Defiant can be as good as the best games out there. If Ubisoft doesn't run it properly, it's going to fail too. It's just the way it is.
And it really depends again on the monetization. Like, I hope to God, Ubisoft, you have something here. You have something. X Defiant could be really something huge. It honestly could be a really big competitor against Call of Duty if they do things right. Because I will say, map design, all the things that they're hitting, they're listening to what Call of Duty fans are not liking about the more recent Call of Duty, and they're doing exactly that to fix that in this game. I think, honestly, the only thing they just don't need to do is just make the monetization really bad, and they can really get something. And obviously, if it is gonna be a live service, really keep up with the content drops, and also, like, again, listen to those fans, listen to other shooter fans like you have been, and really just nail it. So I'm excited again for that game. That and finals. Can't wait for both of those.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm excited for X Defiant too. But sticking with the PlayStation stuff, I'm cautiously optimistic about some of the stuff they're doing. We still have not got a showcase from them, although there is a rumor now of a May showcase, which eventually they're going to have to say something. Eventually they're going to have to talk. We have Spider-Man coming out in a couple months that we haven't seen a single second of gameplay from. They got to show something. We need an update on Wolverine. We need to see some of these projects that they're working on. I guess it's not as delayed as some of the competitors' production has been right now. Mostly Perfect Dark. I want to see Perfect Dark. Where the F is it? Let me know what's going on.
I still want to see Fable.
Yeah,
or
there's
Avowed,
a lot.
or Hellblade. How that whatever the fuck that game is at the moment. Anything.
Yeah.
Please.
And
I just want to, we've been seeing a lot of clearly Redfall. I know that's coming out. I get that, but I want to see some of these other studios. We know Starfield and Redfall. We've seen it. We know it. Show us the other games. I want to see Avowed. I want to see Fable. I guess I want to see Perfect Dark. I'm not really excited about that game, but I know some people are out there. I don't really care about Perfect Dark. I played it. I didn't really like it. So sorry. But yeah. So I mean, again, show us some stuff. But yeah, I'm again. We have summer coming up very soon, so we're gonna be seeing some good stuff hopefully soon.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. I think PlayStation and Sony learned a little bit from the mistakes of announcing things very early, like they did with the PS4 generation. I mean, we saw Horizon for years before it came out, before it eventually saw the thing, and they're definitely learning from some of Xbox's missteps with announcing things very, very early. And we now know they were very early. I think they said, "Hey, we might make this game. Let's announce it real quick." So I think Sony has taken a step back and just keeping everything as close to the chest as they possibly can, and they're probably a little wary of a lot of leaks that happen. I mean, there's leaks all the time. And when's the last time a Naughty Dog game hasn't been leaked?
I know, right?
Yeah, the entire story of Last of Us 2 got leaked. The existence of the multiplayer game 2 days before the announcement of it got leaked. It's okay, at some point, Sony probably sat back and were like, you know what? We're just not going to say a single thing until we're ready to show it. So who knows? Like I said, I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to play every single one of these projects that come out, but I will be attuned to it because, it is my favorite publisher and developer. So I want them to succeed. I want everybody to succeed. I want Perfect Dark to be amazing. I want, I forgot some of the other ones you said. I really want Avowed to be amazing. I
Well,
can't.
Fable,
A Fable,
stuff like
yeah.
that. We also have
I'm not the biggest
State of the
Fable guy.
K3, which I wonder when State of the K3 is going to be announced. That game literally had a cinematic trailer come out like 3 years ago now, I think.
Stalker 2?
Yeah. Stalker 2. Well, that should be
wait,
coming
is it
out
3 or
this
2?
year. The only reason I think Stalker 2 got pushed back was because of a certain thing last year, which makes complete sense. I mean, they're based in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a reason why it got delayed.
Fair enough.
Supposedly one of the developers got killed in action. So
yeah,
that's I understand why that game's delayed. That completely makes sense. I hope it comes out this year though, and I hope it's good. I'm very excited for that game. But all right. So
no, I got nothing else. I just hope, like I said, I hope some of these are really, really well done. I hope again they stick to what we know them as in the modern era. This high bar of quality. Like I guess they've done really well, Sony and PlayStation have, but they kind of backed themselves into a corner now. Like we expect their games to be some of the best out there, to be that next bar of quality. And while that's great, that's a great position to be in. You've established yourself as, top 3 in terms of making games. Now that thought is you got to hit that every single time, or people are going to be hypercritical on your stuff and call you out if your game doesn't hit well. So it's a good place to be, but it's a hard place to stay, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, all right. I think that's it on that. We're going to stick with the Sony news for number 2. Media Molecule co-founder has left just a mere week after the announcement of Dreams. And does this, in fact, spell trouble for the small, floundering company? It says co-founder and creative director Mark Healy has announced that he is leaving the studio after 17 years. He shared the news on Twitter in a thread reflecting on his time at the studio while also hinting about his future. After 17 incredible years of co-birthing, that's a weird way to say that, of co-birthing and building Media Molecule, I have decided it is time for me to fly the nest, set sail, and chart a new course. Today is my last day at M&M. That's... I thought the candy. I thought the candy at first.
Yeah.
From Little Big Panda to Dreams and beyond, proud to have played my part and lucky to have jammed with some truly brilliant people. I don't like the way this guy writes. And such a wonderfully talented community, which I will continue to be a fan of, but a strong cosmic breeze is pulling me, and my pirate heart is awake. Okay, I'm done reading this guy. I don't like the way this guy talks. Anyway. All right, Media Molecule continues to bleed people, which is not good because that studio is only like 20 people to begin with. So, yeah, and this is a continuing story from last week when we talked about Dreams shutting down. It finally coming to its much delayed inevitability. What do you think, man? This I'm not too confident in the future of this studio. I was looking into some of their histories and I was looking at some of the numbers. And man, since Little Big Planet 2, which was the last game that they made for a Sony dedicated handheld, it has been 13 years, of which they have only made and worked on Dreams, which could not have made a lot of money. It could not have made Sony a lot of money. And again, I think if this was anybody else that cost a lot, I think the only reason they haven't been closed yet is because they just don't cost a lot to run. Said it's a small group of people working in an inexpensive part of the world. And I think Sony might just be like, you know what? Just make whatever you want. Just hide out over there. We're not losing too much money on you. It's not that big a deal. Maybe you got another one in you. Because, I mean, dude, any other studio makes this game and takes this long to make this game and then to not have this game make them any money or hit really well, I don't see that studio surviving any. Dreams just took forever. Did you know they originally announced Dreams at the launch event for the PS4?
I do, yeah.
It came out in 2020, right? Or 2019, one of those two.
I think it's 2019 because it was definitely pre-COVID.
So
Definitely.
it took them 6 years to develop that game, and now another 3 to 4 years of it essentially not doing any money. So like I said, that is 10 years right there. And it was like a couple years before they even announced Dreams after the launch of Little Big Planet 2, which was their last officially made game for a Sony at-home console. Yes, they made Tearaway, but that was for the Vita and all that. And like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there. Like, they're a small, talented team that has made some of the most unique PlayStation games we've seen in a long time, and it is a weird ass scene. I think the failure of Dreams is the blame is all over the place. The blame's on Media Molecule. The blame's on Sony for letting them do that. Like, look, we're big fans of, publishers letting their teams do what they want and just staying out of it. But sometimes they still need some overhead. And maybe someone should have stepped in and be like, hey, you're making this thing, but you still need to make a game. Well, that's what the biggest thing with Dreams was. It wasn't an actual game. It was just this ability and source to build the game. I don't know, man. What do you got to say?
As I said last time, I think, again, what would have really helped for this game is they brought it to PC, which they didn't. And it was rumored for literally ever since it launched that it was going to be coming to PC, and then it never did, which was kind of a surprise. Yeah, it is. And they also, the biggest problem with this game is they're competing against some big timers right now. We have Roblox and we have Fortnite now, that both are completely free to play games that allow people to now technically build what they want. I mean, literally, I don't know if you've, we didn't put the story in here when it came out, like, at least, like, probably a month ago. But on Roblox, they straight up have a dude that literally made an entire, basically Call of Duty inside of Roblox. And it's insane. Like, trust me, go look it up. It's insanely impressive, and it's Roblox. And it doesn't even look like Roblox at all. Like, it's pretty damn impressive. So that's where Dreams kind of struggles, is because it's a $60 game that you would have to buy to basically just play what hopefully people will make or create. And a lot of people did create a lot of good stuff in Dreams. And Dreams did technically have a game inside of it with the Dreams.
Does that really count, though?
Yeah. I guess it's not as good as like the Little Big Planet stories, in my opinion, where they had a lot more. See, and that's the problem with it. Like, Dreams, the difference between Dreams and Little Big Planet was Dreams is anything, where Little Big Planet is mainly centered around Sackboy itself, or your Sackboy that you create yourself. And so there's always a character, there's something to sell, which, by the way, they had a lot of microtransactions with Little Big Planet, which I didn't care. That's fine. Hey, it made them some money. Like, you could buy like Uncharted pack, you could buy a Killzone pack, and you could dress up as a Killzone character, or you can even get the Kratos pack, and you get like the swords and everything. It was really cool, and it was adding a lot of character, and you can kind of make your Sackboy yourself. I think the problem with Dreams is you're anything. You're not something. You are anything. You are as they call it, a dream.
Yeah, I
you
think
are. So that's where it kind of falls for, and again, I even talked about the last time, another reason why I failed is it wasn't as simplistic as, for example, Little Big Planet. Little Big Planet, yes, you can create some insane stuff. It's kind of like Minecraft in a sense. Minecraft is very simplistic, but if you know the tools and everything, you could build some insane stuff in Minecraft. But Minecraft in itself is so simple that it can cater to anyone. And that's kind of how Little Big Planet was. It was easy for anyone to play and anyone to create something, whether it be something very simplistic or basic or something super advanced. Dreams was not that way. It was always advanced from the beginning. You can kind of tell how difficult it is. It's not a very easy game to build stuff in. It really wasn't. It's a very advanced game with a lot going on. And I mean, you can clearly tell some of the projects out there. It's pretty insane. But again, it takes a community, and you need people that are willing to put that much time to it. Again, I think if it was on PC, you probably would have had a lot bigger of an audience, but you didn't do that, and you left it only to the PlayStation community, which I think kind of killed it a little bit. I think PC community, the controls in order to build stuff on a mouse and keyboard would have probably been way better, but they didn't bring it to PC, so that's its problem.
Well, also, I think not just bringing it to PC, that obviously would have helped a lot, but also
Mhm.
I think one of the things that, I didn't really think of at the time, but, I'm not going to take credit for this idea. I heard it somewhere else, but it makes a lot of sense, is the ability to export the game. Because
Oh, yeah.
you have this, what is at its core a very impressive suite of functionality to build an entire game or whatever you want within this quote unquote game. But people had to buy the game to play the games that people were creating. There was no ability to export it. And, the guy who's making the Avatar game, he's probably put what? Hundreds and hundreds, if not
Thousands upon
thousands
thousands of hours.
of
Yeah.
hours. And there's no way for him to export that game so people can experience. He has to convince people to buy Dreams to play his game. And, once someone kind of explained that to me, not to me directly, it was a show I was listening to, but I was like, you know what? Yeah. Now I understand that doesn't even sound like an easy thing to implement. That sounds very difficult. But these are developers. This is, if you want your game to succeed, you have to make these decisions. You have to do these certain things that is going to put your game in the best place to succeed. And I just think the support wasn't there, the drive wasn't there, the decisions that were made weren't the right ones, and that ultimately end up to this game's failure. And I think it's Sony's biggest failure in a long time. I mean, we don't really see
literally,
Sony games fail ever, and this one definitely failed.
Well, there's some other games that failed. So
name one.
Like what is it called? Days Gone.
Sold
that technically was a failure.
Sold 9 million copies.
But clearly, it's not making a sequel.
Well,
so
yeah,
it clearly was a failure in their eyes.
It sold 9 million. It sold more copies than Death Stranding.
Also, Killzone Shadowfall, and
still sold well.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, it also was a day one title.
It doesn't matter. Still sold well.
Still was a failure though.
Critically, maybe, but
yeah.
I don't think. Sony cares about the critical opinions, but also if the game
Not
makes
with Last of Us.
If the game makes, Last of Us has a 94, so they do care.
No,
about the
I'm talking about the PC release.
Oh well, they're working on it.
It's still pretty bad to release something that bad.
Well, yeah, obviously, I'm not giving them credit, but at least they're working on it. How long did it take them to fix Arkham Knight on PC?
I don't know.
2 years.
But it's probably gonna take 2 years to fix Last of Us.
Probably. Okay.
Which is funny because first
of all, it is not that bad. The Last of Us runs. It has glitches.
Runs on very good, so like a good GPU. But if you have anything lesser than that, it still doesn't run very well. And supposedly keyboard and mouse, which is the whole PC thing, doesn't even work very well, even with the new fixes. So yeah, it's not great. But and that's why it's so surprising to a lot of people because usually you would think Sony, like most of their releases on PC have been really good. It's just that one. Which, by the way, I didn't know this, but Iron Galaxy also was the same people that made the new Metroid remaster that everyone absolutely loves. I didn't know that because everyone always talks about the Arkham Knight. I didn't know all the other stuff they made. So I guess they do have a good track record with at least porting stuff to console. Console, it's great, but when it comes to PC, they're not super great with that. We're going way off topic, but still, I do think they literally, I think you're right. Honestly, they kind of went with the Unreal Engine route. Honestly, this is a really good idea. Like the fact that they made this. Okay, you pay for it, just like how you do with Unreal Engine. But yeah, you can export the games. And basically what this would be is PlayStation's Unreal Engine. And people can, make these games and then export them to other devices. That would have been actually a really good idea.
Yeah, there was a lot of decisions that would have been good ideas, and none of them got made. So that's why we are here now. And like I said, I think you say Sony has made some missteps. In my eyes, this is clearly the biggest misstep in a long, long time. This is the only one that I can think that's a true misstep. There are letdowns here and there. Like, I don't even like Days Gone. I know I defended it. I don't even think Days Gone's that good. But technically, but getting off topic again, that was weird because the game was actually successful sales-wise and people really, really liked it. And I guess Sony just didn't want it. That's a weird situation. I don't know what happened there. So, all right. Next up on the docket, Number 3 on Around the Point, Nintendo has had another indie showcase. Now, full disclosure, I did not watch this. I don't believe that Logan watched it, so full disclosure there. But we are going to go through a couple of the games that they talked about and see if we have anything to say about them. So, speaking of that, going through these things, Minico's Night Market gets a release date after 8 years of development, apparently. So that will be released this September on the 26th on Nintendo Switch and PC. My Time at Sandrock Lands gets a release date for the summer of 2023. Played Up, a game that combines Overwatch with roguelite mechanics, gets an October 2023 release date. Quilts and Cats of Calico sees a fall 2023 release date. Rift of the Necrodancer. Now, this is a game I am well aware of. People are very excited about this game. So, it is a spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a very interesting rhythm-based combat game. It's like a roguelike. It's very difficult. If you never played Crypt of the Necrodancer, it is a very difficult game. So, I'm well aware of this game. People are very excited about it. And it is set to release later this year in 2023. Animal Well, confirmed to be released early in 2024, an atmospheric puzzler set in a pixelated game, which lets you be a tiny meatball, apparently. Cool. Crime O'Clock sees its release on June 20th, very shortly, 2023. Shadows Over Loathing, headed to Switch later this year in 2023. Tesla Grad 2 and Tesla Grad Remastered, day and date as time of this release. So, I don't remember, I think it was Tuesday. Blasphemous 2 gets its first trailer and a release window, that release window being this summer. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals finally gets a release date after previously being delayed. It will now see the light of day on July 12th. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach release date and DLC leaked. There's a whole long list of here. The game released later the day, so I believe Tuesday. And then there's a whole bunch of other things to see its release date. So, Mr. Logan, is there anything here for you, man, that you saw?
Well, there were a few that really caught my eye. I think Played Up looks really good. I'm actually pretty damn excited for that game because it's basically Overcooked. It literally is Overcooked, but instead of it just being like, you pick a level, you have to do this challenge, done, whatever, you actually build your own restaurant and you can customize it and everything. But then it has the same gameplay style as Overcooked, where you're supposed to be really quick, work with your friends, and build food really quickly to give it to people. And by the way, I absolutely love Overcooked 1 and 2. I thought they were both insanely fun. Me and Amy played the shit out of those games. I love them. I really, really, really do love those games a lot. So Played Up has me very excited. That might be a game I'll buy. I don't know if it's going to be day one, but I do want to buy it and play it with Amy because that sounds extremely fun. I love these kind of games. They're so good. I don't think there was really much else that really did actually catch my eye. So maybe it was only that one really that caught my eye. The only other one I know maybe Amy might like is the what's it even called? My Time at Sandrock. It basically just looks like a third-person Stardew Valley with a little bit more impressive graphics, and the combat looks pretty interesting. It kind of surprised me for a second there because it's a lot more like you can actually shoot, like you have a gun, but then there's also some melee combat that's going on. And a lot of the gameplay kind of mechanics, from what I could tell, is very it looks like you can romance characters. It literally looks like Stardew Valley, basically, from what I could tell, but just with more impressive graphics. So, other than that, I don't think really anything else did actually catch my eye on this. None of them really were like, oh, that looks cool, or a game I would play. Obviously, Shadows Over Loathing, I've already watched that. That's already been released for a while now, but it's like that West of Loathing, I think is what it's called. Yeah, West. Yeah, West of Loathing. I talked to you about that. It's that Stickman game that doesn't look very impressive, but it's actually really, really fun, and it's just very comedy driven. And I watched Shadow Over Loathing, and it looked so good. So that's awesome. I already know about that game. Everything else, looks okay to me. It's not really my cup of tea. Like the Telesgrad looked cool, but then as soon as I seen the gameplay style, I check out. I'm not a big fan of 2D games. It takes a lot for me to want to play a 2D game, and it just didn't really look that interesting to me. And Blasphemous, it always looked kind of cool, but again, it's a 2D game, and again, I'm not a big fan of 2D games. I'm sorry, just not. So.
Now, how dare you not be a
I
fan
know,
of something
right?
that doesn't
I'm sorry.
interest you? You fucking sloth of humanity. All right. Yeah, let's see. Things that popped off the screen to me. Oxenfree, I enjoyed the first one, but I don't think it was really good. Like I said, Rift of the Necrodancer, I mean, dude, Logan, not you, the other Logan, he showed me that game last time he came down. Well, not this game, obviously. He showed me Crypt, and, it has an 87 on OpenCritic, the original game. Hugely loved, super unique, and I think is going to be a big game that comes out this year. But yeah, no, there wasn't a whole lot here. I usually don't pay too close attention to these things until they come out. And then if it's really loved or liked or anything like that. The latest one that I kind of caught my eye was that Dredge game, which worked out pretty well for me on my score, but we'll see if anything's hit like that. So, all right. Well, number 4 on Around the Point. There actually is some cool news coming out of the APK deal disputes over in the CMA and all the other stuff. We're not going to talk about all the stuff that goes on with the Activision Blizzard deal and Microsoft, but there was this cool little redacted file that came out that I thought would be interesting to talk about. And this kind of leads into what Logan and I have been talking about for a couple of weeks about how long it takes to make a video game nowadays. And I want to see it take shorter, but if this little document is anything to go by, it's not ever going to take any shorter. So this comes way of, like I said, I'm struggling. The proposed deal to acquire Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. This document has been released and found by Axios Stephen Totelo. So credit to him for finding this and digging this out of the gutter. The article reads, which I said, it is redacted, so we don't know the exact things, but it's interesting to talk about. It says Halo Infinite, a recent title from Microsoft's first-party Halo franchise, was in production, redacted, and cost redacted millions to develop and bring to market. Other AAA games take even longer to develop. For instance, according to one Microsoft executive, Redacted, a forthcoming title from the Redacted franchise, may take a decade to develop. Well, that seems excessive.
So redacted.
Well, I mean, I
got it.
I think you can read into certain titles that take a long time to make. Like the article points it out, but immediately, even before I read that, I thought Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Elder Scrolls
makes sense. Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take a long time to make. But mostly, this brought me back to a conversation that I have with myself in my head a lot. Is like I missed the time where it took games 3 years to come out. People forget. They have Uncharted is one of the most highly regarded PS3 franchises of all time. Those games came out in totality over 5 years, all 3 of the original games. 2007, 2009, 2012.
Maybe it's Gears of War franchise.
You think Gears of War takes 10 years to develop?
The Gears franchise. I don't know.
Oh.
It could.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Because I don't know. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. I don't know if it'll be Elder Scrolls because I'm not gonna lie, that redacted square doesn't look long enough to have Elder Scrolls. But I don't know.
Well,
now I want to get like a ruler out and try.
Yeah,
to
I mean, that's what I was. But if you think so, it says the Halo franchise was in production, redacted. That's a long ass square for just a time frame. I mean, that's got to only say what for 8 years. So that square is the longest square on the thing. So Elder Scrolls 6 is only 2 words and 2 Roman numerals. So I think
they spell out the number.
Maybe.
So they could say like I don't know, in production for 12 years. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know. It could be Elder Scrolls, but I feel like that's not enough space to put Elder Scrolls in there, but who knows? I was thinking Gears for some reason because it's just Gears and you could probably fit Gears in there pretty easily. Um I don't know. But yeah, it is insane how long it takes to make games. It is just insane.
Yeah. I didn't put this in there mostly to focus on the Microsoft stuff because who knows what this is. It's all redacted. But
Yeah.
I put it in there mostly to drive home a point that I want. I simply want games to take less time to develop. Now, does that mean we get, less of the massive big games that we've seen? Yes, obviously. And I think that's good. Like we talk about with Ubisoft all the time. These games don't have to be fucking Armor 3 size worlds every single time a Ubisoft game comes out. I don't want that. I never wanted that from them. I would love to play, Horizon 3 in 2025, 2026. That'd be awesome, You kidding me? That'd be fantastic. But there's no way. Well, maybe 2025. That would be 4 years from the time that it came out. So maybe that's
all
a
I
bad
know
example.
is the next Horizon, they need to stay away from releasing at the worst times.
Dude,
That's
I
Horizon's
feel
problem, dude. They are
so
so
bad.
dumb with their release times. They release it literally during Breath of the Wild, and then the second one, Elden Ring. Wow, that couldn't be any worse of times to release their games, dude. They
To be
need
fair-
to focus on not releasing it at the worst times, man.
To be
Every
fair,
time.
in both of those situations, they announced the release date first.
That's fair.
Yeah. So it's
But-
like, Elden Ring announces this release date, and then what do you do with Sony? Do you run?
I would just push it back. I would just push
No.
it back.
It's Sony. They're not running, dude.
Yeah, well,
They're gonna stand
it
strong.
hurt them in the end. I feel like because
Did
I
it?
feel like
I
people,
mean,
you probably did because
the-
most people chose probably Breath of the Wild over Horizon the first game, and Horizon 2. I think definitely more people probably chose to buy Elden Ring over Horizon 2.
I mean, the first game sold 20 million copies, so I don't know if it hurt them that bad.
yeah, but that's overall.
Well, yeah, but still, overall, that's how much it sold.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's fair. But I mean,
Yeah.
who knows how much those sales were when they were on sale or down the line?
That's
you
true.
know, who
I mean, I'm
knows?
sure.
You got to think of that because people probably paid. If they're gonna pay full price, they probably chose Breath of the Wild first, and that's also because the first Horizon game, no one knew how it was gonna be. But even Horizon 2, we had Elden Ring, which was a huge built-up game.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think people clearly were like, yeah, let's choose Elden Ring over Horizon 2. So, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I think Horizon Forbidden West sold plenty well, so
Oh, I'm not saying it sold. I'm sure they're gonna make a sequel or anything. Clearly, they're not giving up on it, but they just need to They always have the worst times to
They do.
release those
And-
games. They need to. It's always like in the worst times.
and that's always the narrative around it. And I feel bad for Guerrilla because it's like they're making ridiculously good shit, and it's always like, oh yeah, it's really good, but there's this new game that redefines what an open world game. The last
I know. Two times in a row.
back
Two
to
times
back.
in a row.
And then the DLC, I mean, you're surrounded by Dead Island, which definitely is not a reinvention of the open world genre, but
No.
Redfall, again, has its own problems, but, they're releasing kind of in smack dab in the middle of the thing. But, again, it's hard. Like, you put all this money and time into it, eventually you just got to release it, That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying about some of the Suicide Squad and Sea of Thieves. Like, eventually you just got to put it out. Like, I know you understand, and I know and I understand that you want to make it the best that it possibly can be, but there comes a point in time where you just got to send it out to either die or swim, or sink or swim. Like, you just got to get it out there. It doesn't matter how much polish a game has. If it launches and no one cares, it could be the most polished game of all time. If no one cares, it doesn't matter. You just got to see. Which, by the way, I think both of those games are dead. Well, I think Suicide Squad will make plenty of money just because it's a superhero game. I mean, Marvel's Avengers made money, which is still befuddling to me, but... No, you seem to be distracted, so do you want to move on?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You seem to be looking at something.
Sorry, I was really sorry.
No,
Got
you're
way
good.
off topic there.
I don't
All
care.
right.
All right, number... I always lose track of what number it is.
5.
Number 5 on Around the Point. This is now... I would say we've gotten the big stories of the week out of the way. then I just filled out the rest of the article with just some things to talk about. So Street Fighter 6 had a showcase this week and announced the demo release date, which was that day. And also they released their entire first year of plans for the game. So you can go download the demo and play right now, which I do have the demo downloaded. I actually was thinking of telling you to download the demo and just seeing if we could fight each other, seeing what's going on out there. So, but you can do that right now on PlayStation 5 and 4. It will arrive later on this week on Series X and S, 1, and Steam on April 26th. Also, no, it is worth noting that any progress in the World Tour will not carry over. But that's not it. They also released their entire first year plan for the DLC, which includes 4 DLC fighters and a bunch of World Tour stuff. I don't know, man. The more I see of this game, the more it intrigues me. This World Tour, a single player mode with RPG mechanics and an overarching story. I don't know. This game is intriguing me. And I've never been a Street Fighter guy. I am solely a Mortal Kombat guy. And Injustice. I've never been a Street Fighter guy. I'm not even really a big fighter guy at all. But I don't know, man. This thing it's tickling my ball sack a little bit. It's shaping up like it's going to be huge for the people who love it. But it's hitting me, and maybe I want to give it a shot. I don't know. Where are you sitting? What are you feeling on this?
I mean, to be honest, it's not really interesting me that much. It's just, I don't know, it's not my type of fighter game. I mean, if they probably did this with like Mortal Kombat, maybe I'd give it a try. I think I mainly like Mortal Kombat more because I find the characters of Mortal Kombat a little bit more interesting, and the combat's a little bit more gruesome, which I know that might be a little messed up to say, but I kind of like that. It's a little bit more satisfying. I don't know. Maybe this game will be really cool. I mean, I will admit I do really like this new open world thing and the fighting and everything. That I find that to be very interesting and cool. It's a very I'm gonna guess pretty unique. I don't really know many other games that have done this, so I'm sorry if there is another one. You can call me out. I have no idea. Um, but it seems pretty unique, pretty cool. Again, as you said, the RPG mechanics, that seems very cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm not a big Street Fighter guy. I've never been. I've never really cared for it. I think the only Street Fighter game technically I played is Street Fighter versus Marvel or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Or no, it was Marvel versus Capcom. That's what it was. Marvel versus Capcom. I played the arcade game at my parents' house because my dad has the table arcade machine, and me and him played some games where it was Marvel versus Capcom. That was fun. That's probably the only technically Street Fighter-ish game I played ever.
Okay,
So
fair enough. Like I said, we're not really fighting games. We're not really fighting game people on this show. But
no.
I don't know. The more we see of this, the more it's. I think this is going to be a very good Street Fighter game. The more we see of this, the more I think this is really gonna hit hard, and the people who love it, it's more of a return to form for Street Fighter. Street Fighter 5 was a bit of a letdown, I know, for people out there. So, but the more I see of this, the more I'm confident that this game is going to hit fairly well, and people are going to really, really enjoy it. So, if you are looking forward to Street Fighter out there, let us know down below. Let us know what you think. Maybe this looks terrible, and I have no clue what I'm talking about. When it comes to fighting games, I do have no clue what I'm talking about. So, all right, next up on the docket, number 6 on Around the Point. The Day Before is back in the headlines. The developer of Fantastic has announced apparently its highly anticipated yet controversial MMO The Day Before is getting a beta, and as promised, it won't be delayed between now and its launch on November 10th, 2023. In a Reddit post, this is what they had to say. They say, "Hello there. We have some exciting news to share with you regarding The Day Before." Yeah, I know. We have some exciting news to share with you regarding The Day Before. We are pleased to announce that the game will officially release on November 10th, 2023 without any further delay. We understand that many of you have been eagerly waiting for the release of this game, and we want to thank you for your patience and support throughout the development process. We have been working hard to ensure that the game meets our high standards, and we are confident that it will be worth the wait. I don't know what high standards they're talking about, but okay. As we get closer to the release date, we will be conducting a beta test for the game. This will give players the opportunity to try out the game before it is released and provide valuable feedback that we can use to improve the final product. We will provide more details on the beta test as we approach the release date, so be sure to stay tuned for updates. We look forward to sharing game. Well, that was written poorly. We look forward to sharing game with you and hope you will enjoy playing it as much as we have enjoyed creating it. Thank you for your continued support. So, do we ever see the release of the beta?
Well, I don't know. Is someone gonna buy the license again, and it's gonna get delayed for like another 6 months?
Oh, they're still calling it the day before. In fact, it's emboldened here. It's big bold letters, the day before. So apparently that is fixed, maybe, because I don't think they could call it that without having the trademark.
Which I think is funny because so they sure didn't have a problem getting it right back, I guess, which I think is a bit strange in my opinion. Somehow the license was able to be bought, and they had to delay it by what was it? How many months? It was like 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, February
And
to
yet,
November.
yeah, so 9 months, and then now you're still calling it the same title, which makes me think that honestly an employee bought it.
Oh,
And
no.
I bet you they're just gonna move it over.
So
I feel like.
trademark disputes, they're actually fairly easy to prove that you had the trademark and you had the product well into development. Like, if you can prove that you had it and it was there before this guy ever applied for it and people knew about the trademark, then it's actually fairly easy to win those. I looked a little
So
bit
then why did
into...
it take them 9 months?
Well,
See,
that's one thing. I think that was a
Yeah.
total lie of how long it took them to delay it. I think that was more just about, making the game as best as it can. I'm still not fully convinced this is a real game, by the way. Like, I'm still not convinced. I'm sure it is. I'm sure I'm being stupid with that, and what's it called? Conspiratorial with that. But I don't know. This game just doesn't.
I
will
think
say
there is a game there, but I don't think it's much of a game there.
I will say
they still have not showed like any actual combat against people. Again, that world showcase they showed, it looked beyond empty. It just, yeah,
I'll tell you though,
not very promising.
when the
Sorry,
beta
go
comes
on.
out, when the beta comes out, you're damn straight I'm jumping into that beta. I'm figuring out what this thing is. You and I
Yeah, I
both.
want to see how bad it is.
We're going to sit down. We're probably going to stream it if we get a chance to, and we are going to see what the hell this thing is. I'm excited, and I'm ready to just shit on it. And it's like I said, maybe I won't. Maybe it's a Sonic Frontiers where I was ready to shit on that, and it doesn't really deserve the shit. So, you good over there?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
All right, number 7 on Around the Point. Mr. Joseph Staten, former Bungie director in charge of a lot of the Halo products, has announced his next studio, and it's interesting because he is joining Netflix as the creative director of Netflix game and building a new AAA multi-platform game and original IP. This is what he had to say while talking to IGN. He said, "In my work life, there's nothing I love more than collaborating with others to build worlds filled with iconic characters, deep mysteries, and endless adventures. So today I'm thrilled to announce that I've joined Netflix Games as creative director for a brand new AAA multi-platform game and original IP. Let's go," he said. For those of you who don't know who the hell this guy is, Joseph Staten first was working with Xbox in a publishing role prior to joining 343 Industries as Halo Infinite's creative director following the recent shakeup of the Halo development studio, and then recently left Microsoft altogether to join Netflix, apparently. You think Netflix can make a go at it?
I do not know. I'd be surprised if they do. I don't know. I mean, I guess Amazon has their own game studios, and whether it be, whatever we want to believe. I mean, New World was semi a success. So if something like that can happen, maybe, possibly. I am curious what kind of game they're trying to build. If it's going to be a mobile game or not, I have no idea. But I don't know. Maybe, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they have directors, if they have the same kind of directors they do for their shows, maybe it won't be because maybe they won't even like what they're making. So who
Well, I
knows?
mean, having the creative director for Halo Infinite isn't quite the flex that I think they hope it is.
No.
So, especially not from Mr. Birdman over there. I don't really care. I mean, how many times have we seen a bad game come out from a studio and the next game's really good? I mean, Platinum does that all the time. They put out great games, then followed up with a shit game. So, it's not always about who's in there. By the way, do not click on the link for number 9. I screwed that up. So, while you're
Okay.
talking about the next story, I will fix that. So, speaking of the next story, Ascendant, the developer behind Immortals of Aveum that we talked about last week, has now shown a over 6-minute gameplay trailer, and we're going to sit down here, we're going to react to it. If you didn't listen to us last week, I had to say that I thought it was a fantastic looking trailer. Again, it could all still suck, we have no clue, but now we've gotten some gameplay reactions, so we're going to talk about it a little bit there. This is a game that I think sparked both of our interest, so let's see where we sit now that we have seen it. So Mr. Birdman, take it away.
All right. So I have some goods and bads about what I've seen here. Some Mike might it's not as bad, one of the things, but I know Mike probably already knows one of them, but it's not as bad, but So kind of what I'm getting from the gameplay trailer, the 6 minutes that they showcased, which was kind of cool. I'm happy that they kind of just gave us non-cut gameplay. It was just, there was some cuts towards the end, but it wasn't like, it was mainly just a full, like, probably like 4 or 5 minutes straight of just gameplay. I will say graphically, it looks very beautiful. I think the environments look pretty cool. I think some of the enemies look very interesting. I won't say it's the most exciting designed enemies I've seen. Some of them are a little like I've seen a million of these types of characters before kind of look to them. Like some of them look very reminiscent of a bunch of other games I played before. But altogether, it was pretty damn impressive graphically, and I think the environments look really good. And I think the animations that your characters are doing look fantastic. I think some of the moves they were showcasing were really cool. But one of the negatives I'm having, it's kind of the same negative I have about the Final Fantasy thing. This dude's throwing out the most badass looking spells, and these enemies are just stonewalling him, looking at him like, the fuck? Like, what are you doing to me?
That
and
is
like,
my biggest takeaway, is there
yeah,
seems to
because I was
be
like,
no impact.
yeah, like the dude was literally blasting him, like all these people, like a million times, and they're just like, okay. And I'm like, what is your character doing? So clearly they're not they didn't show any of the UI, but from what I could tell, these characters definitely have some health bars above their heads, and you're just, I guess, the only way to really know you're doing damage, because this gameplay showcase isn't showing him doing any damage until they just die. Like, he basically just keeps shooting this one person for like so long, and then all of a sudden they finally pass out and die, and it's like, you maybe should have showed the UI, because I'm not gonna lie, this gameplay showcase was not impressing me, because like it was like, dude, you're blasting these people so many times, they're not reacting to any of it, and then all we see is just them die after like him hitting them like a bunch of times. It's the same problem I have with the Final Fantasy thing. It's the exact same problem. And I was like, I thought maybe I was being overly critical. So I watched it, and I made sure to focus on every single enemy and see exactly what attack he's doing on them and everything. And I understand some of the bigger enemies, I understand they're not going to react as much. Like that big fucking giant dude, I understand you're not going to blast him with something. He's not going to go, like, I understand, but there would be a little nice if you'd see a little bit of an impact, like maybe he moves his shoulder a little bit, or like just some kind of noticing that he's actually being hit, because it looks like he's just like, you're throwing Nerf pellets at these people and they're just not noticing it. But then after enough Nerf pellets are being thrown at them, they just pass out and die. And that's kind of what it was. And I also seen some funny death animations, like the one axe guy that attacks him at the very beginning. When he kills him, you see his body fly back and then do like a ragdoll and everything. It looks so funny. The other problem, I don't really have a huge problem with it. It's just weird. But of course, it has the gear systems, yay. But I also, one of my favorite games of all, like up there now, God of War Ragnarok has it too. So it's not a big deal. It just depends on how egregious it's gonna be. Which I'm not gonna lie, from the gameplay I'm seeing right now, it does look pretty egregious, because again, he's attacking these enemies. They're not reacting. It seems like he's hitting them at least 1,000,000 times, and then they finally just die. And it's like, oh, did he not have a high enough gear level? I guess, because that's what I'm kind of getting from this. And that's where the gear system bothers me. For example, God of War Ragnarok does a better job of this because it's not as egregious. Like, yeah, if you don't have your weapons leveled up enough, you're not going to do as much damage. But it's not like, oh, I got this axe, and this axe is stronger than my other axe, kind of thing. Like, you get bonuses in Ragnarok that help you in combat. But this seems like directly connected to your weapons. So like, oh, I got this gauntlet. This gauntlet's stronger than my other gauntlet, and I get this ability from this gauntlet. So it seems very Borderlands-esque, and also like the way that the gameplay is set up, it seems very I don't have a problem with this, but it's definitely like a good mix of like Doom Eternal from what I can tell, because it's very arena based from what I can tell. It's not like, yeah, it definitely seems very arena based. And then a good mix of puzzling sections, kind of like, I guess, God of War Ragnarok, or there was another game I was thinking of, but I can't think of it right now. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't impressing me when I started to see the combat. That's where it bothered me. Because again, like, they didn't look like they even noticed him attacking them. And that's where it kind of is like, oh, okay, you have these badass spells, which, by the way, again, like Final Fantasy, this dude's throwing out some badass spells. The animations that they were doing with the hands and everything, very fucking cool. Don't get me wrong. But like, it's really annoying when you're just hitting spongy enemies, and that's what it looks like, just spongy enemies again. So maybe I'm being overly critical, but I'm sorry, but like, it's modern day gaming. I've seen a lot of games nowadays, even some with probably lower budgets than this, where literally when you're hitting someone, they actually react to it, and no one's reacting to anything in this gameplay trailer. I made sure to watch every person that he attacked. No one did anything when you attacked them until they died. When they die, after their health bar go all the way down, then they die, and then you see an animation of it reacting. But other than that, you're just like, it doesn't even seem like they're noticing his attacks, and so that's kind of lame. So,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, I think overall, my biggest takeaway is, the lack of impact on the attacks. And, well, I guess you can compare. I don't think it's fair to compare it to God of War, because, like, God of War is the top echelon of video
Well,
games
I was
to ever
more
come out.
comparing it to the
No, I
gear
understand.
system, and how I think God of War does a way better job with its gear system. That's why it doesn't bother me that much. But when gear systems put it into where, like, oh, my weapon level isn't high enough to attack this enemy type, so I'm gonna have to level up and go grind and get this gold gauntlet instead of my bronze gauntlet, so I could do more damage. Like, that's where it's like, this seems like a very, like, I don't know. Again, I haven't seen much open, but you said there's like an openness to it. It's kind of like, again, it's very God of War. It seems like it's semi-open world, right?
Well,
Is that what they're going for?
It's hub based with those linear paths.
Yeah.
And, like,
So again,
it is very, they use the descriptor of God of War style world design, and like you said, if there is an open hub where you can explore, and then it does set you on these linear paths with arena based combat, that is very God of War. That is how God of War is set up. And if they can strike a good balance between that and storytelling, I'm on board. I'm still on board. I've softened a little bit. Granted, it was just a trailer, so like the trailer looked good, but I didn't know. I do think the combat, the impact of it doesn't look really anything. Again, Final Fantasy, Starfield, like, why don't enemies react when I hit them? It's a little annoying.
Yeah.
But
I have those same problems with both those games, and it's like, it's modern game. It's a modern game. Like, come on now, people. Yeah. I've seen indie studios do a better job. Like, you gotta be kidding me. You guys have huge budgets. You can't tell me you don't have any animation budget to, when you hit an enemy, they react to it. I'm not asking you to hit them on the ground instantly when you shoot them, but like, it's very basic design philosophy now when it comes to like these combat based things, where when you're hitting something, they should react to it. Like, maybe or an armor piece falls off, or just anything. I'm not looking for Dead Island 2 style where you can cut through every limb and cut through every little thing and break off their jaw and all that. That's crazy. I'm just asking for basic reaction to when you shoot the enemy, you
Yeah.
know, and that's where this game does not look fun to me. Like it just looks like you're shooting a spongy ass enemy until their health bar goes all the way down, and that's super lame. Especially when you have these badass spells. Like he's doing some fucking Doctor Strange ass spells, and it's so fucking cool. And then you're doing nothing. It looks so lame. It's that's what bothers me.
I think I think the impact of it is a little bit of a letdown. Hopefully it doesn't feel like that in the game. Hopefully, you feel like you're doing damage and, it's represented by, the health bar and all that. I have zero problems with the gear system, especially if this is a more RPG focused experience like that God of War, which is a comparison that we keep making. To be fair, they made it as well, so I think it's again we can bring that up. Like I'm looking at the I'm looking at the video right now, and I'm looking at the gear screen, and to me, it doesn't look egregious at all. You have 3 different sigils, which represent your 3 different colored spells, which I'm guessing each spell has like a different interaction with the way they work. You have 3 different totems that secondarily boost those colored spells or those spell slots. So that's still really only 3 things, just like the other 3 are boosting them. And then you have 3 accessory spots, 2 rings, and a bracers. I mean, that's very Final Fantasy-esque and very RPG driven with like your accessories. And it looks like you can equip like modifiers and all that. I don't think this looks egregious at all. You have 3 different types of magic and some accessory slots to create a build. So I don't think that looks egregious at all. Now maybe there is that whole like, oh, I got a level 25 and I need a level 30, which could be annoying, but hopefully the way that it drops kind of stays out of it. And if it is a gear system, it needs to be customizable, like you said. Like God of War has gear slots, and you can make different builds and focus on different things. And that's where a gear system can thrive and shine if it's balanced in a good way and it has that customization behind it. That's where gear systems are supposed to be. That's where they were originally designed to be, and that's where they think they thrive the best. So if they can pull that off, I'm 100% okay with it. I think this game visually super impressive. Character-wise, I'm intrigued by what's going on. I am still going to play this. It lands at a perfect time when nothing else is around it, as long as nothing else gets announced, at least. So I'm still on board. I think this is a very intriguing game, and it could be really well. I'm believing in EA here a little bit, especially that EA Originals logo. I think they really haven't had a miss in a while now, in a couple years now. They haven't really missed, You look at It Takes Two, Wild Hearts, which I didn't play Wild Hearts, but I know it wasn't a miss. People really liked it for the people that like that genre of games. So I'm on board. I think this is cool. It definitely reminds me of, I don't even know if you ever played this game, but Lichdom Battle Mage from quite a few years ago, that like first person magic shooter. I really like that game, actually. This definitely looks like a much higher quality than that game was, but this is a style and a genre that I am all on board with. So while there are criticisms to be had, I don't think it looks incredible or anything like that. I think this has a chance to be a solid 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 for me. I'm genuinely intrigued, and I think I'm on board. Unless we see another trailer and they start talking about all the microtransactions, but they had. But if you look at, there's no microtransactions. There's a gear, talents, spells, and then a journal. It seems
I'm
like
curious if there's going to be any multiplayer for this game, because honestly,
I don't think
if they
so.
made like an arena-based multiplayer for this, it could be really fucking cool. Like again, it seems very reminiscent of like Doom Eternal, where it's you can jump around the arenas, you're fighting. I guess also like High in Life, which I know High in Life isn't the greatest version of a arena shooter. This seems a little bit more interactive than that. But I'm saying like it definitely has a very arena shooter vibe. And I'm not gonna lie, an arena shooter with these kind of spells where you can go around and get all these things could be pretty cool. I'm not expecting it to be huge. It's probably not gonna blow up or anything, but for the people that get the game, it would be a fun little extra to play, some arena shooter fun multiplayer with it. It would be kind of cool. I could see it working out. But I think biggest fix that reactivity, dude. Fix when you're doing stuff to people like they react. But other than that, I mean, it looked pretty cool. So it looks like a fun little game.
Like I said,
It honestly reminds me of early 2000s game where it
Yeah.
seems like they have this very wacky, crazy story. It kind of, I guess, like Bulletstorm
Like
that came out.
a
It was
solid
just a
7
very
out of 10. I think it looks
Yeah.
like a 7 out of 10.
Did you ever
Which is-
play Bulletstorm?
Yes.
It was fun. It's
Yeah.
just a very basic, fun, linear game, and that's kind of what it was. And we're going to be talking about another game too today that's kind of like that. So, yeah.
Are we?
All right. Yes, we are. I'll bring it up later.
All right, guys. These next two stories we're gonna run through real quick just to see if Logan has anything to say about it. THQ Nordic has announced the date and time for their 2023 showcase. That being on August 11th. For us, it's 2 p.m., but for Eastern Time, 3 p.m., Pacific Time, 12 p.m., and so on and so forth. We're saying they're going to reveal titles like the new Alone in the Dark, Outcast 2, A New Beginning, and the much anticipated Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy. Are you excited for this, man?
No, I've only played the first Outcast on the PlayStation 4. My brother got it for free. That's it. And I didn't even beat it. I got too scared. You know how I am. So, yeah.
I like THQ Nordic. They're making some cool stuff. They're the return of that like AA developer that we kind of miss from back in the day, you know?
Yeah, I miss when they were. Well, I don't think they are the same people that make Saints Row, are they? I thought Saints Row got moved over to someone else. Yeah, no, Deep Silver now makes.
That's Volition.
Yeah.
Volition and Deep
Yeah,
Silver.
I miss when THQ used to make Saints Row.
Yeah.
That's when Saints Row was good. So
I think THQ has made some good stuff, so I'll be excited to see what's in the show. I'll be sitting down and watching.
Yeah.
It. Might even give it a live reaction, so we'll see.
yeah, and they made the two Destroy All Human remakes. So yeah, they're really good too. So
All right. Final little bit of small story before we get into the sales updates for last month. We can all celebrate and rejoice. The scalpers have lost. This was posted on Reddit, actually by a PlayStation channel. It appears that the scalpers can no longer sell consoles at a plus price, and they are now have to sell them for a discounted price. This guy has PS5s on sale for $400, which isn't a discounted price from the digital one, but it is a discounted price for the disc-based one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can finally rejoice. The scalpers have lost. We have won. Suck a wiener schnitzel. Logan.
well then. Yeah, it was bound to happen. I'm happy that it's finally here. You know, I'm happy that they can't sell for an exorbitant price. I wouldn't really say they technically lost. A lot of them won big time.
Yes, I
throughout
know,
all
but
these
man,
years.
all
So-
right.
Ooh, my leg. Okay, but yeah.
Don't die.
So yeah, no. So yeah, it was I'm happy to see that now, finally, technically now they technically have lost now if they
That's
still
a
have
lot
any
of
in stock.
technicallys.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Technically, you know?
All right. A
Oh.
final story on Around the Point, number 11. The sales data for the month of March 2023 has been released, and they're pretty interesting and cool, if I do say so myself. Starting with the games, Resident Evil 4 has passed through the fire and the smoke to be the number one selling game physically for the month of March 2023, dethroning Hogwarts Legacy, which gets pushed down to number 2. Other new games to debut are the MLB The Show 2023 at number 3 and WWE 2K23 at number 7. The full list is Resident Evil 4, Hogwarts Legacy, MLB The Show, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Last of Us Part 1, FIFA 23, WWE 2K23, Elden Ring, Madden 23, Mario Kart 8, still there, Minecraft, Octopath Traveler 2, Metroid Prime Remastered, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, God of War Ragnarok, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Dead Space, NBA 2K3, Sonic Frontiers, and Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga rounds out the top 20. What do you think?
That's pretty cool to see. Happy to see that Resident Evil 4 is up there. It's cool to see that somehow still Elden Ring still up there in the top 10. That's crazy and very impressive. Not surprised about Mario Kart 8. I swear it's gonna be there forever. Also not surprised about Call of Duty being up there pretty high. But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say. I think it makes sense to see the top 10. I'm surprised MLB Show already was in third, right from the being brand new. But yeah,
I mean,
that's not bad.
it's going up against Hogwarts and Resident Evil, so
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. So the 2023 year-to-date update is Hogwarts Legacy still holding on to the number 1 spot. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 holding on to the number 2 spot. Resident Evil debuts at number 3. MLB The Show debuts straight up to number 4. Then you have Dead Space at number 5. Madden at number 6, FIFA at 7, Elden Ring at number 8, The Last of Us Part 1 at number 9, and God of War Ragnarok rounding out the top 10, narrowly edging out Mario Kart 8. So there you go. A surprise entry, though, dude. One Piece Odyssey, number 20.
Yeah.
That's wild. Dude,
Pretty dang insane.
Dude, NBA 2K3 down at the very bottom at 18.
Yeah. That's insane.
That's crazy. Good to see.
Yeah, I would love to see these trends keep going and then it soon not be in the top 20. Then they'll probably finally listen. Who knows?
That would be a revelation. All right, moving on to consoles. So for the month of March, Sony's PlayStation 5 was the number 1 selling console at just over 2 million units sold. Switch, number 2 at just under 1.2 million sold. Xbox Series X and S at 556,000. And then the old PS4, still out there, still being sold, rounding out the top 4 at 19,000 units sold. Oh, that was a bad transition. So, in comparison to last year, PlayStation 5 is the only console, percentage-wise, to be up in the percentage, as it sold 191% more than it did last year. Both the Xbox Series X and S and Switch are down 25% in their sales year over year, bringing the lifetime sales of these consoles to PlayStation 5 just under 36 million. Nintendo Switch still rolling strong, just under 124 million. Xbox Series X and S just over 21 million units sold. And that rounds out the sales updates for March 2023. Logan, what do you got to say, man?
I don't know. That's great. It's Xbox, fix your shit, man, because you gotta get yourself back online. But who knows? I don't know. At this point, are they even focusing on it? I guess we'll see. But
it's one of those things that I don't know. I think Xbox is trying to do something so unknown to us and so peculiar to the rest of these companies that while the numbers, yeah, they look bad, but we don't know how much Game Pass makes. I mean, we can do the bare minimum numbers and guess based on that, but I mean, I think if you just want to take it in layman's terms, I'm not saying this is good or bad for Xbox. It's just there isn't a great reason this generation to buy an Xbox if you already have a PC. And that is a big negative on the Series X and S. And whether that's good or bad for the sales, I don't know how much this thing costs to make. I don't know what they wanted from this thing. I just think that is one of the reasons why the numbers are so low. And I don't know. I mean, good on Sony. We heard that they finally got their production figured out, and man, that thing is selling like crazy right now. I know just from the store that I work at, we sell 3-4 of them a day, and we're just moving through, and we got stock out the wazoo. I think last time I counted, there were 40 PlayStations in the back room. We have stock.
Speaking of that, I finally spotted some after all this time at Best Buy when I was going in there. I noticed a few of them. And I'm like, holy shit. I actually see multiple PS5s in one location.
Dude, down here in Memphis, they are everywhere, man.
Yeah, we have them. Up here in Missouri, man, I barely found them. But now, starting to see them. And that's great. I'm happy to see. I want to start seeing them more on shelves. I want to start seeing that. That's awesome. I'm very excited. I think altogether, I think this year will be a lot better year for all consoles, except for obviously we already know Switch was fine. Who cares? They had that shit figured out like forever ago. But I'm happy to see, hopefully start seeing more Xbox Series X's on shelves. I'm happy that I already am starting to see PS5s on shelves. I've already seen plenty of Series S's on the shelves. It's stupid easy to get a Series S. But yeah, no, I'm just happy in general to see them being more in stock. And that goes back to the story about the scalpers. Like, now finally, I mean, it did take a long time. We can finally say we you can go to a store and actually purchase one. And
Yeah.
I can definitively say that even for my state, Missouri, I'm starting to see more of them on shelves. So that is a huge positive. And I hope you guys are getting one. And if you are, I hope you're enjoying either a Series X or a PS5 or Series S, etc., etc. I'm hoping you're enjoying them because I still think. Oh God, that scared me. I think they are fantastic systems altogether, both of them. And yeah, I'm just happy to see more start selling this year.
Yeah, in raw numbers sake, in comparison to this time last year, throughout the entire year so far. So at this point in last year, PS5 had sold 1.8 million, Xbox Series X and S 2 million, and the Switch 4.2 million, as compared to this time right now as PS5's at 5.2 million. The Series X and S is down to 1.5 million, and the Switch 3.2 million. Here's the thing. We know a Switch 2 or whatever it is coming eventually. I don't think it's coming this year. I think it may still has a chance to be announced this year for next year, but is there any chance Nintendo is looking at this and say, "Man, if we can get 2 or 3 more good years, we can beat PS2."
I hope not.
I mean, for our sakes, yeah, I hope not, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I really hope not because man, see there's a difference between the PS2 generation and this generation. Like you have to evolve. And PS2 was damn good all the way to the very end, you know. But that's because gaming was different back then. Games were so much easier to make. You know, it wasn't as much of in my opinion, a hardware push back then as it was now. Especially when it comes to like power and etc. and like all that because games used to run at 60 FPS on PS2. I hope people know that. That's a surprising fact. Like
yeah.
I didn't know that either when I was younger, and that's why games probably felt so much more fluid. And then you got to 360 and PS3, and most games couldn't even hit like 30 FPS. And that was the same for even Xbox One and PS4 generation. Same thing. So it's a different world we live in. I guess yeah, Nintendo doesn't really care about power. So I guess if they really wanted to, they could probably push it for another year or so. But man, like it's it's cracking at the seams. Nintendo Switches definitely needs something. Like I think at some point people were starting to notice that you like when Nintendo Switch came out at first, there was a lot more third-party support. There was a lot more games coming to it, so it wasn't just the Nintendo exclusives. You know, and a lot of people do just have a Switch. They don't even have like any of these consoles, so they like to play some of these third-party games on there. Well, now there's basically almost no third-party games coming out on there, or if they are, they're so just bad that it's laughable. And even people that, you know, can usually stand performance issues, you're starting to notice it very bad on the Switch on a lot of
Yeah.
games. I mean, most games that are coming out that are brand new that people want to play only come out on cloud versions, and no one wants to fucking play the cloud versions. And from what I could tell, the cloud versions are god awful on the Switch. Other than I think supposedly Control was the only one that actually worked well on there. Um, so it's really just like I don't know. I
I mean,
hope not. I would love to see just another console come out. Maybe just I don't know. Maybe they can just call it the Switch Pro, and maybe if they really want to keep cranking out those sales on the other Switch, maybe instead of making a new generation of Switch, they just make an upgrade, possibly. But I know that would also make multiple SKUs at that point. Which I mean, I guess they already have plenty of SKUs out there.
so they have
They could make
3 right
one more.
now.
Yeah,
They got
but
the
they could make
original, the
another
OLED, and the
one.
Lite.
Yeah, but they could always make another one, and if they wanted to, they could still be getting those sales on the cheaper Switch, but then have a Pro one now that'll be a little bit more expensive for the people that want a little bit more performance, I guess.
Or what
I
they
don't know,
could
but I guess they don't care either, so it's
Yeah.
Nintendo. So
What
I
they
don't
could
know.
do is they could sunset the original Switch, so like the $299 one,
Hmm.
make discount the OLED $50 to the original $299, then come out with a Switch Pro that actually has an updated dock. You can
Hmm.
keep the same Switch OLED, you know, but have that dock be able to push out, I don't know, 1440, whatever, 4K, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still short on power then. Like the Switch OLED, while it looks a lot better, it's the same hardware internally, so you're not really
Yeah.
improving anything, but you're giving us a better visualization on the screen. You're giving us better upscaling.
And like I know the big thing that they're aiming for, from what I could tell, is they're going to be moving towards Nvidia, which is kind of a surprise for consoles. Most consoles go for AMD. So Switch is going to be supposed to be moving towards Nvidia, so they can use DLSS. So that therefore they could still probably keep it in that range of portability, but then they could increase the performance with the power of like AI and all that that's doing it right now.
Well, the
So
Switch has
that
an NVIDIA chip. I think it's the NVIDIA Tegra, isn't it?
does it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Maybe
it
I'm
does.
wrong.
Switch CPU. I'm pretty sure it's an NVIDIA Tegra. Nope, I'm wrong. Never mind. That
Okay,
doesn't sound
but
right.
yeah,
AMD
so
Cortex. Yeah, the Switch uses the NVIDIA Tegra X1. I could have sworn it was on an NVIDIA chip.
okay, that's surprising. So yeah, again, they could just do that. They keep with NVIDIA line, which they already said. I'm pretty sure it's already been confirmed that they're doing obviously NVIDIA again, and they're going to be moving towards DLSS. So yeah, make a pro version, update some of your old games, like maybe the new Breath of the Wild game, update that to like 60, or maybe increase the resolution. But just make it a pro version, and then you can keep you could be kind of like how this generation has been lately, where we still are releasing games on the last gen and we're still releasing stuff on the current gen. You could be releasing stuff on the Switch while also releasing stuff on the Switch Pro until you hit a point where literally you can't, and then you just start moving on from there. Boom. It's a smooth transition. It's not cutting people out of the Switch that they probably just bought recently. They could still probably play all the games that already came out and probably the few more that you're going to be releasing after, but then have improved versions for the Switch Pro. And then to the point where, obviously maybe a year or two later, we cut out the Switch regular and we just stick to the Switch Pro. And then you can just do a smooth transition from there, Kind of like how this was, because people still have games coming out for the last gen consoles, but it's been kind of an easy, smooth transition to the point where now we're like, there's not that many last gen games coming out at all, and so now it's going to be more heavy focus on the current gen systems. So it was a lot more smoother transition for people to switch to the more powerful console. So,
dude,
if they want to,
I'm sitting here looking at like the spec sheet, and dude, this spec sheet reads, excuse me, like a 2005 computer.
no,
Like, this is wild. Looking at percentages, comparative to the Vita, the Switch is 15% more powerful than the PlayStation Vita. That thing came out in 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we're talking up, or we're barking up the wrong tree, because people who play on Switch don't fucking care, dude. They just don't care. They're like, oh, I'm playing the next Pokemon game. Do I care that windmill runs at 3 frames a second? Not really,
Or
no.
the fact the game runs at a solid 20 FPS? No.
They just don't care. So, I guess Nintendo's found their audience, and good on them, I guess.
I mean, hey,
they'll
the
let PlayStation...
Nintendo games that do come out, they do usually run like the actual Nintendo games, not Pokemon. Pokemon isn't technically a Nintendo game, anyways. They only release on Nintendo systems, which I think is really weird. But which actually, that is something that's so surprising to me, is that I get they have high stakes in Pokemon, but they don't own Pokemon. But then why isn't Pokemon just, if they're so money hungry, why don't they release it on other consoles?
Nintendo
Why not?
Nintendo owns the right to Pokemon.
No, they don't. Pokemon still is its own thing. Nintendo has they do not own Pokemon. Pokemon, they have high stakes, and they have a certain percentage of the company, but they do not own Pokemon. Pokemon is its own thing. That's why they can almost get away with the fact that the performance is so bad with Pokemon game, because, well, it's not a Nintendo game. That's why when people say like they have that Nintendo, like when a Nintendo game comes out, usually that's very well made. That's why Pokemon can get away with it, because it's technically not a Nintendo game. It is only coming out on Nintendo consoles, but it isn't owned by Nintendo at all.
So the licensing and production rights are shared across the three companies: Nintendo, Game Freak, and this place called Creatures.
Yeah.
So that gives a 33% equal split between the publishing rights. But Nintendo owns 46% of Creatures.
Yeah. So,
So
again, yeah, they don't own the entirety of Pokemon, but they
yeah,
do own a good percentage.
but I feel like
Yes.
they have enough to tell them no, you're not doing it. So I don't think Game
I
Freak
guess
can
that's fair.
say, yeah, I don't think Game Freak can say, hey, we want to put it out on PlayStation. I think Nintendo would be like, no, you don't. So get over it.
That's fair. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
Dude,
But
if a
yeah,
Pokemon
so
game came to PlayStation or Xbox, I would lose my shit. Dude, with trophy
dude,
support, oh my
just
god.
imagine how just good it would look too, and just
But
all the things you could do with
they
it.
could
Oh,
never do that though, because no one. Well, some people would buy the Switch version, but like that thing's gonna look ugly in comparison, or unless the PlayStation version is a PlayStation Xbox version is just like wildly. Like they can only do so much because you have to build for the lowest
yeah.
integer. You have to build it for the Switch and then upscale it. So
Increase the draw distance max,
just a
increase
slightly.
the frame rate a bit,
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, yeah, so yeah, technically so usually most actual Nintendo games, fully 100% owned Nintendo games run insanely well on the Switch. So I mean, that's what people mostly buy the Switch for in the first place. So I mean,
It's the only reason
honestly,
I own one.
I guess we can't technically complain because most of the games still do run mostly well. Like Bayonetta 3, that's a bit of a difficult one. Also that weird Zelda game that came out, what was it even called? Calamity or something like that. It was that weird Dynasty Warriors
Oh,
game,
Hyrule
the
Warriors.
sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ran like 24 FPS. That was
Age of
also not
Calamity, I
great.
believe.
Yeah, Age of Calamity. Yeah, that game ran absolutely god awful. I played the demo. It was basically unplayable for me. I can't stand it. But most games will. I mean, heck, the new probably even Breath of the Wild will be like a solid 30. So like honestly, I guess we can't complain.
I mean, I can.
It still games run. I guess we can complain that third party support sucks now completely. Like there's basically almost no third party games unless it's indie games coming out on the Switch. So it's basically just indie games and Nintendo exclusives.
Yeah.
So
We'll see how Call of Duty runs on there whenever Microsoft
yeah,
eventually gets
I'm
Call of Duty.
still I want to see this. I still love all the memes about it. Like, Microsoft is announcing that they're bringing Call of Duty to Texas Instruments, which is the calculator.
Yeah.
And then there was like a little Call of Duty thing on there. Like, it is, and it's pretty funny. It's true. I don't know why they keep trying to bring it to everyone. Like, we get it, Microsoft. You don't want people to think that you want it on their console, but like, dude, on Switch, I want to see how that fucking runs. It's gonna be awful.
It's not gonna run well, dude. There's just no
Yeah.
fucking way. So we'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of Around the Point. It actually turned out to be a fairly long one, as per the usual here. We shoot for short, end up long. So unfortunately, I can't say the same about my male components. So.
Yeah.
So let us know down below what you have to say about anything that we talked about. You know, what do you think about Sony really making a push now in the multiplayer? Do you think Media Molecule's doomed? Are you going to play the beta for a day before when it comes out? And what, and most importantly, do you think of Immortals of Aveum? Let us know down below. We're going to go now to Let's Talk Reviews, also known as LTR, where we dive into some of the reviews and how the games that you love are being scored in the critical responses. Starting off with Dead Island 2, released on PS5 for Xbox Series X and S, Stadia, and well, not Stadia. I forgot to change that. X and S and PC. There's a 75 on OpenCritic, a 74 on Metacritic, with 42 reviewers positive, 27 mixed reviews, and 0 negative reviews. Excuse me. PlayStation Universe scored the game an 8.5 out of 10 and said Damn Buster Studios has come in and created a highly entertaining cavalcade of carnage with Dead Island 2. It's a game that takes great joy in the simple act of smashing, splatting, and slicing the undead into meaty chunks, and I'm very much here for that. The Gamer gave the game a 7 out of 10 and said despite a history of disappointing delays that nearly doomed Dead Island 2 to obscurity, it's here and it's both confident and capable in almost everything it does. Arduous quest design and the occasional repetitive tedium is a flaw, but you're often too drowned in zombie guts and cringe-inducing creativity to care. Dead Island, Dead Island 2 isn't going to change the world of zombie games, nor does it intend to, but the fact that it has emerged from the ashes in a state this immaculate is a miracle of in itself. Hammer some nails into a baseball bat, set it on fire, and start swinging. I guarantee you'll carve out a good time beyond all the viscera. Noisy Pixels scored the game at 6 out of 10 and said Dead Island 2 is all about breaking skulls and bones, but it won't be breaking any bloody records. At the end of the day, it's just dumb old fun, killing zombies in a badass, gory fashion with your buddies. The high asking price and frustratingly unbalanced gameplay prevented me from recommending this as a day one purchase, but I have confidence it will find its bearings among its zombie-slaying fans someday. So overall, pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's about what I was expecting, but also, I mean, you got to give him props. This is such a comeback story, in my opinion, because literally Dead Island 2 has been in production since 2014, probably even a little bit before that, probably 2013, 2012, but they announced it in 2014. And to see that they came out with a game that isn't completely broken, isn't completely destroyed, isn't plagued with tons of technical issues, even on PC. A lot of people praising the fact that, wow, a PC port actually runs insanely well at launch without any issues. Wow. I mean, man, I guess that's kind of a spin in the face to a lot of these developers today, where they literally don't have as troubled development as they do, and yet they come out with shitty ports and have tons of problems at day one when this game doesn't. I just think that's so ironic. But I'm very impressed with this. I watched a lot of gameplay on it, and it looks really fun. Just looks like a fun zombie killing game. Basically, the biggest flaw what I've gotten from it is, yeah, sometimes the difficulty spikes a bit and the story isn't great. But I guess when I'm going into Dead Island, I didn't really think Dead Island 1's story was that good. I just played it because I loved killing zombies and I thought it was really fun, especially playing with friends. And that's what it looks like again. Looks like the same thing. It looks like more fun. It looks like the graphics are insanely impressive in my opinion. Especially for Unreal Engine 4. Cough, cough, hey, Redfall, guess what? It's running at 60 FPS day one. Isn't that weird? But especially for a game that was in troubled development, yet again, for 9 years or so. Isn't that kind of ironic again?
Dude, I can't explain what's going on with Redfall. I don't fucking get it.
I just don't get how a game that's been this many issues comes out so technically flawlessly. But you have all these other fucking companies that come out with no fucking development hell, whatever, and they come out with the most broken shit. It's just so frustrating. But I just got to give them full props for it. I just want to say, like, and I do want to play this game. It probably be like when it goes on sale, but it has been. I'm very interested in this game, and I probably will be playing it down the line. I love Dead Island 1. I know it had its flaws. It wasn't perfect, and it definitely wasn't what people were expecting, but I thought it was really fun. I mean, it's technically what made Dying Light what it is today, because it was originally made by Techland, which now Techland makes Dying Light and Dying Light 2. So I will say I've seen some dumb opinions about this game. Like, I'm not going to name who it was, but I watched a video where literally the entire time they're like, it doesn't have parkour, and it doesn't have all this. And I'm like, wait a minute. You are comparing.
I don't care.
No, I'm not naming them, dude. But
Why?
I'm not here for drama.
I'm here for drama.
I just want to say it's really dumb that
Hold on. Here's the pot. I'm here to fucking stir it, man.
Oh my god.
Tell me the name. Tell me the name.
Kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Well,
guys.
the entire time they literally were just complaining about the game, saying it doesn't have parkour, it doesn't have all these things. They were comparing it to Dying Light 2 the entire time, and they're like, if it just had all those things, it would have been much better. And I'm like, do you even know the history? Because this one dude kept saying the entire time he was an IGN reviewer and he reviewed Dead Island 1 and 2. He kept repeating it like 15 times throughout the podcast.
Greg Miller.
And yeah, well, the dude literally kept complaining about that. I'm like, if you know about Dead Island, do you know why there's a difference? Dead Island was originally made by Techland, yes. But Techland had different opinions of what they wanted to make. So they split off, because Techland was going to make Dead Island 2, but it ended up not happening. So Techland split off, and Techland made Dying Light 1 and 2, while a different company moved on to make Dead Island, which there was a couple developers. We had Sumo Digital, and we had someone before that, and then now we have Dambuster, which, by the way, another props, Dambuster. Wow. I
Didn't
mean,
shit the bed this time.
you made a shitty ass game before this, and then you came back and actually made a good game. A good game. Not great, not fantastic, not amazing, not game changing, but a good game. A fun looking game. And I just think I hate when people compare this to Dying Light because they yes are both zombie games with melee, but they are both different in the style. Where it seems like Dying Light is more focused towards realism, and Dead Island is more towards the, I would say, more silly side. Anyways, Dead Island 1 was supposed to be more serious, but let's be honest here, you play that game, it's not that serious, in my opinion. And Dead Island 2 definitely is pushing for more of a wacky kind of way of everything, and the gameplay style and all that.
I mean,
So just
was Dead Island supposed to be serious? The collector's edition had a decapitated cheerleader statue. I don't know if I call that
or no,
serious.
wasn't it Bikini Lady? I thought it was like a Bikini Lady.
It might have been Bikini Lady, yeah. So
Yeah. Well, Dead Island was supposed to, if you watch the first trailer, but then
true.
it ended up not being that. So it's whatever. You know, I understand the flaws behind it, but yeah, I actually have watched a lot of gameplay on this, and it actually looks fun. It looks like simple fun, and I really want to try it, but I just don't want to pay $70 for it.
And the original Dead Island didn't even have any parkour in it, did it? No, so you're making a deft ass argument.
Yeah, like
this is what I talk about sometimes, where you can compare things in the broadest scope, but you have to approach a game with what they were wanting to make. There's no parkour system in there because they didn't want to put a parkour system in there.
Yeah, and no gameplay, no trailer, no nothing did they ever showcase that we are gonna have parkour in it. But then yet you review it, and the entire time you are complaining that it doesn't have it. They literally never said they were going to have it. And also, there are two different companies. This isn't Techland. Dying Light isn't Dead Island. I'm sorry, it's not. They're two different games. They have similarities, but they are two different games. It's just like if I know I might want to judge Gotham Knights to Arkham Knight, but they are technically two different games. So as much as I want to compare it, you got to understand that they are two different games. It would be like me saying, like, why can't I play Batman? It's just Gotham. What? 0 out of 10. I can't play Batman. Like, they're two different games, and they're two different studios. So like, just people understand what you're buying before you play it. Just saying, people. Like, it's very basic knowledge. I'm sorry. I know, but okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I just want to say
love it,
this game looks fun. It looks great. I just want to give them full props because, especially with all these other games coming out this year, cough cough, Skull and Bones, this game actually looks like it's had a big turnaround. If you ever want to see the old Dead Island 2, there actually is gameplay on YouTube where someone was able to pull a build of the original Dead Island 2, and dude, the differences are insane. And I also just want to give them props because I think they did an insanely good job of keeping the graphical style with the trailer that they showcased, which I feel like no one ever talks about. If you actually go watch the trailer and you see the gameplay that's come out today, it actually looks really close. And I find that very impressive. Most games when they have these trailers, I feel like the style is almost completely different from gameplay to trailer. Where I feel like the trailer for this game is actually really damn close to the style that the game actually came out to be, which I think is really great. So full props to Dan Buster. I'm happy to see that you actually made a good game. I had hopes for this game to be good, and it ended up actually being good. And also, I want to give you props to that amazing gore system that you guys made, because that looks amazing. I don't think any other game has come close to that at all. And that's insanely impressive. So yeah, full props. I'm happy to see this game's actually good. And it looks fun. Fun. So,
which is why we play games. Well, it's one of the reasons why I play games. But so yeah, props to Dan Busters. I'm still not gonna forgive you for Homefront: The Revolution.
Yeah, that was awful. There is no sugarcoating that.
Yeah, but props to you coming back, knocking this one. Well, okay, not out of the park, but giving us a good, fun game. Which not every game has to be. Again, a 10 out of 10. Last of Us, God of War, Resident Evil. Not every game has to be that. I don't expect every game to be that. It's unrealistic to expect every game to come out and be perfect. That's the dumbest ideology I've ever thought of. Anyway, Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores came out on PS5, has an 81 on OpenCritic and an 81 on Metacritic with 22 positive, 2 mixed, and 0 negative. Usually I like to get a broad spectrum of review scores here, but pretty much every single review was an 8 and the lowest one was a 7. So I wasn't really able to grab a broad spectrum, but here it was anyway. The Gamer gave the game an 8 out of 10 and said Burning Shores first seemed lackluster in comparison to previous expansions in the series. Frozen Wilds was a refreshing addition to Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West was an even bigger step. So the slow start in trending familiar territory made me feel like Horizon had potentially lost its flame. I'm so glad to be proven wrong, as it still burns as bright as ever, and with a dauntless new character taking part in one of the most momentous fights we've ever seen Aloy face. After this, I'm even more excited to see where the story goes next. IGN gave the game an 8 out of 10 and said Horizon Forbidden West's Burning Shores DLC is a worthwhile addition to this acclaimed action-heavy sci-fi series. Fun new challenges and enemies are introduced, and cool new ways to dispatch them are presented with regularity. The story is more concerned with developing characters than it is working towards dealing with the immediate world-ending threat, and it's Aloy at her most personal and believable yet. A couple of poor boss battles aside, it's a great new chapter with enough creative new bells and whistles to keep fans more than happy. PlayStation Universe scored the game at 7.5 out of 10 and said, for better or worse, Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores is simply more Horizon Forbidden West. And for fans of the game and also its detractors, that will be to their joy and chagrin, respectively. As it is, Burning Shores is an impressively spectacled stuffed... Wait, what? As it is, Burning Shores is an impressively spectacle stuffed, though routinely unambitious, this is a weird sentence, unambitious expansion that does little to address the weakness of the core franchises, but still manages to provide an effective bridge to the third game in the Horizon trilogy. So there we go. I see there's a lot of criticism out there about how they place this as kind of like an epilogue to Forbidden West instead of like a side story. And I guess that makes somewhat of a sense, but if you haven't beat for Horizon Forbidden West yet, and you're like really excited for Burning Shores, you're like, oh yeah, I get to play that, but not beat the game. I don't understand that criticism at all, because you do have to beat the story of Forbidden West to play this, which is different than the original DLC. But I don't know. I just don't see that. Like, if you haven't beaten the game already, then why are you complaining that this is set afterwards?
Yeah, I mean that's how usually I would never play a DLC until I beat the game in the first place. I think that's really weird.
Yeah.
So
Well, for the Forbidden Wilds, or Frozen Wilds, was set. If you want to do it, like in the proper order, it's like middle of the game, kind of, is where the story is technically set, but you can play it whenever you want.
yeah.
So I've seen there's a lot of people complaining that, oh, I have to beat the game to play it. I was like, well, the game came out a year and like 4 months ago.
Wait, so you bought this DLC and you didn't even beat the game?
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like
That's what
I
I'm
didn't
saying.
beat the game, but I'm definitely going to beat the DLC. Like what? That doesn't make any sense at all. I guess if you want to compare it to the other game, yeah, I guess that one you could play in the middle, but I guess you like the DLC more than playing the actual game. Like I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
Don't get me fucking started. I got in a
I
war
will
with some
admit
people
one
on
thing
Reddit.
I understand why people are a little upset with is if for some reason you don't have a PS5 right now, it is kind of fucked up that they came out with the DLC and they
Yes,
just only
yes,
came out with the
absolutely.
PS5. Like, then why did you even release the initial game on the PS4 then? Like, if you were gonna make a DLC for it and then you already released the normal game on PS4, the fact that you didn't release it on the PS4 as well is kind of a slap in the face to the people that purchased it on PS4. You can make the argument that probably most of them upgraded by now, but who knows if they have. So it's still kind of messed up. I do
Yeah.
find that to be really messed up. Like most games would never do this. So it's pretty messed up that they did that. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard some of the new ambitions that they've done with the fact of only making a PS5 one. Like, for example, the fact that you could fly and get on like buildings and stuff. I'm not gonna ruin anything else, but I watched some reviews for it, and yeah, you can like actually like get on buildings and stuff and do other things that a little bit more ambitious than supposedly the normal game. So it's cool that they're at least taking some liberties and actually adding some new stuff if they are going to make it just PS5. Because that's the one thing I would hope. If you are going to make it PS5 only, show us that you needed that extra power. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
And apparently there is there's this cloud technology that I don't really understand. I haven't read too much into it. That is like super new to the industry. I don't understand that, the clouds, but but the final boss battle, like the big set piece, they have said that it just couldn't be done on PS4. Like there's too much happening, there's too much going on, hitting the CPU and GPU at the same time, and it's so big and detailed that it just couldn't be done. So I do agree, it does suck for the people who play this game on PS4 because it came out on PS4. There's 123 million PS4s out in the wild. So those of you that have played it on here and you're like, well, this sucks. I can't play it now. I feel for you. I do. That is a shitty thing. But upgrade, damn it. It's the next gen. Finally, we're getting there.
And hey, at least it's more available now. Not saying that gives it the more benefit of the doubt, but
absolutely.
still, if you can upgrade, I do recommend it. So.
All right, the rest of the week went like this. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp came out, and I got an 81. Disney Speedstorm got a 69, and I've watched a couple of videos.
Nice.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of videos, dude. It's you want to talk about some monetization? Holy
I bet it's
shit.
bad. Don't you have to buy like all the characters or whatever?
Dude, you have to buy so much stuff. It's insane.
My God.
And then also, so the beta that they're going on right now is free to jump in, but when the game comes out, you have to pay for the game.
It's just like the Dreamlight Valley. Dreamlight Valley is the same way. In order to play it, I think even still to this day, you have to buy it, but there is going to be a certain point where it's going to become free to play. So
you want to talk about something funny? The same people who made Disney Speedstorm. Do you want to know what other game they made?
Well, it's made by Gameloft, right?
Yeah, who makes Asphalt.
So a lot of mobile games.
Yeah, Asphalt. The racing game. Yeah. Anyway, God of Rock came out on PS5, 4, XS, Switch, and PC. Got a 62. Minecraft Legends got a 73. Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters 1 through 6 got an 85. The Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story, got an 80. And that was it. I thought there was another one.
Yeah.
I didn't say but okay. So there you go. You know what? Outside of God of Rock and Disney Speedstorm, a fairly good week for gaming. A lot of games hit. There's a lot of good shit that came out. People seem to be enjoying themselves, so good on you. I'm glad. Anything else you got on these?
Still wish Minecraft Legends did get it, even if it's not my game. I'm sad to see that it didn't really score bad. It's a 73. That's a good. But for you, I know it probably isn't great.
I was hoping for a little higher, but
yeah. But it's still, I do want to try that game out. It actually looks really fun. And I know people want to make fun of it really easily because it has the Minecraft name on it. Anyways, a lot of these people that are making fun of it, I know you played Minecraft. Stop lying to yourself.
Like, who's
you know you like
Minecraft.
I know. Some people do, man. I don't know why. Everyone just thinks Minecraft now is just a kid game. I get it. Kids, when it came to 360 and it blew up like exceptionally and everyone played it, and a lot of us, like especially me, I was younger at that time. Doesn't make it a kid game, it's still a game that anyone could play, and people were easy to make fun of Legends because again, it was like, oh, it's another Minecraft game. Well, I think this one's very impressive compared to Dungeons. Dungeons looked like crap. I understand people that game did look bad and it wasn't good and it didn't do very well either. So Minecraft Legends, I do think looks really cool because they actually have Minecraft stuff in it. It actually goes with the name. And so I want to try it out at some point. Yeah. I don't know how big of a download it is, but I do really want to play it. It looks super fun.
Yeah, let's make fun of the second best-selling game of all time at 230 million copies.
It's just how people are. It's the same thing for like Roblox and stuff or Fortnite.
Okay, I don't understand Roblox, but I'm not making fun of it.
I don't know. Roblox isn't that bad, man. Like I played
it. I understand
why people want to make fun of it, but it's not that bad. Like it's a fun little game. I played it back in high school a little bit. I played a little bit of it in college because there was this dumb dodgeball game you could play on it, and it was like, again, it's a free to play, fun little game. So it is what it is.
All right. Let's finish up here. Let's get on here. Out this week is where we go through the games coming to you this week. This week's definitely backloaded and with one pretty big game. So on April 25th, After Mage on PS5, 4, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Strayed Light on PS5, 4, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. On April 26th, Desta, The Memories Between on Switch and PC. April 27th, Bramble, The Mountain King on 5, 4, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Kazuna AI. This is the weirdest release of all time, by the way. Kazuna AI Touch the Beat on PS4, Switch, PSVR, original, and then PC. Weirdest release of all time. Yeah, I put PCO.
I was
pressed the
like,
wrong button.
what is that?
What's PC?
What is a PCO? Please, I don't know what it is.
Lego Brick Tales on iOS and Android. Live Alive, which is how I'm saying it, and that's how it's going to be. PS5, 4, and PC. The Last Case of Benedict Fox on Series X and S, PC. And then on then on April 28th, Monster Hunter Rise, PS5 and 4, Xbox Series X and S. Then the big one, Star Wars Jedi Survivor on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. It will definitely be our highlight in LTR next week, where you will react and see how that game does. And then probably I'll throw in The Last Case of Benedict Fox because I'm excited. So, and I'll be really sad if it scores really well because I decided not to pick it up. Thank you, Minecraft, for ruining that. All right, what do you got, man? You're not playing anything this week, right? Because you're not playing Star Wars.
Not really. Nope. Yeah, not really much going on for me. I'll be curious to hear about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And yeah, that's really all that's going on this week for me. I'll probably just be playing some games on my PC probably this week. So
I'll still play some Call of Duty with you.
Well, yeah, Call of Duty. Yeah, we'll be playing Call of Duty for sure. So
all right, let's get on here. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our show. Everyone who is either watching or listening, we just want to take this time, as always, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts or souls, whatever. Without your support, we could not be doing what we're attempting to do here at the Experience Point, but please continue to... I'm having troubles this week, man. Please help us to continue to grow by telling everyone out there that you know who have the slightest appreciation for pop culture, that they have some new friends waiting to talk all sorts of fandoms with them. We would greatly appreciate it. Mr. Birdman, any last words?
Thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know, as always, we always say we start short and end long, that's what she said, but but other than that, thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the XP podcast. Make sure to go check out our last few episodes where we have, the Final Fantasy reaction. We have the other episode we were talking about Dreams Dying, and we talked about our good old favorite Resident Evil 4 remake in our review. But other than that, I want to shout out our Patreon Platinum member, Logan Leffler. If you guys would like to support us with $1 or so every month, we do have our Patreon link down below. But if not, we do appreciate you guys stopping by, giving us a like, a subscribe. Again, we're building up that subscriber amount. We're trying to hit 200. I know recently we gained about a couple, like 3 or 4 subscribers, and I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate you subscribing and wanting to stick by and listen to our reactions, or maybe even our open critic, which we will hopefully come back to very soon. But other than that, I'll bring it right back to you, Mike.
Once again, thanks everyone for listening and following along with us. This has been another episode of the XP Podcast, brought to you by all of us here at the Experience Point. I hope everyone has a great week, and as always, see you guys in the next one.
See you guys.